welcome you to Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio. After months of mock drafts and speculation and discussion, the night is finally here. Got to introduce you to the crew we're going to be hanging with all night. I got Jay Glazer. Obviously, he's the best of the very best on draft night. Our Fox NFL insider. We got former number 2 overall pick, college football Hall of Famer LaVar Arrington with us.
Hi.
I know he's excited to talk about one guy.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited, but yeah, hopefully he goes soon.
And former New York Jets GM Joe Douglas. It's great to be with you, Joe. I'm excited about your insight.
Great to be here, guys. Can't wait to talk draft and talk about these players.
By the way, Fox Sports Radio always puts it on me like, hey, who's going to be our other analysts? If you notice, I have a type. It's him this year, Steve Kahn last year.
Shouts out to Steve.
You got to be bald and sexy. That's pretty much it.
Bald and beautiful.
That's exactly right.
Here we go.
Bald and beautiful. That'll be the theme of the night. Look, we are we're 2 minutes into this thing, and Jay, I think we already have some news. I mean, you've been on your phone since I saw you.
All right, so obviously Cam Ward's going to go 1 to the Tennessee Titans, but the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cleveland Browns have been discussing a deal for the Jaguars to move up and take Travis Hunter. I'm told even Travis Hunter's camp even knows about it. Look, something like this, I know the Jaguars just want to sit tight and make sure nothing crazy happens in front of them and somebody doesn't move up, suddenly take their guy. But, yeah, the parameters of this deal have already been in place. They just want to make sure that Cam Ward goes 1, and then that kind of throws a lot of things, up in the air there. If the Jaguars go up there, when the Jaguars go up to take Travis Hunter and the Browns go back, I think other teams are going to go, oh, man, could we start making a move also? There's a lot of teams I know. The Raiders have thought about it. The Carolina Panthers, they're trying to get out of their pick. I thought it was going to be a pretty tame top 10, and now obviously it's not going to be. This trade won't happen until after Cam Ward is taken.
Oh, is somebody's volume up? I'm excited to see what the conversation, what the narrative surrounding what's going on with how they're going to use Travis Hunter. And that's, because I've heard, of course, it's a foregone conclusion he's going to be a cornerback. But how are they going to use him?
I don't know if it's a foregone conclusion.
Okay.
Is it?
No, because I was about to just introduce that. It's seeming as though there's more momentum pick. I've heard comparisons to Justin Jefferson. He has Justin Jefferson type talent at receiver.
A freak athlete.
Okay.
Like I stopped counting how many times this guy can make people miss on a simple hitch and just spin out. Like he's got freaky route skill.
So what does two-way player look like? What is that? If
you
he
were
said true two-way player, what does that look like?
Would he be a full-time receiver, full-time corner?
Do I have a quarterback?
You got Trevor.
Do I have if I've got a quarterback, I'm going to give him if I got a freaky quarterback, I'm giving him to my quarterback in his prime, and I'm rolling.
Okay.
Like, that guy's a difference maker.
But you're using him at corner also.
I would maybe in spurts.
Okay.
I'll never
So
forget
it's not true two-way.
what Prime said to me. He said, if you're wondering how often to play Travis Hunter, it's always more.
Yeah,
like
just
he
play
doesn't tire. His work ethic is a league of his own. There's no one like him. I know he's been described as a unicorn, but he is that special.
I find it to be interesting and intriguing. True two-way, because I think high school. When I think true two-way, last time you're a true two-way is generally high school. Like, let's be clear on that. Like, you play line, defensive line, O-line. You play tight end, you play defensive end, linebacker, But it's very different at the pro level, so it'd be interesting.
After he won the Heisman, I called 15 general managers, head coaches. I used this on Fox NFL Sunday. And the consensus was so much harder to get a cornerback. So we'd start him at corner, and we would use him in packages at receiver. And now, as the drafts come, I think it's kind of 50-50 on where that. I had one guy say, dude, like you said, if you have a quarterback, I would roll with him in my quarterback. So I said, what makes him so different? They said, first of all, he is so ridiculously strong. Not like weightlifting strong, but, man, he's so strong whether he's going up for the ball on offense or he's going after you on defense. He likes to get dirty, likes to get after you, but he's one of these guys who like, man, you kind of put your hands on him out there on the field. You're like, what the hell was that? I wasn't expecting that. He's different. He's different. And, as one guy said to me the other night, head coach, he said he would be he's the number one guy on our board. He'd probably be the most talented guy in the next 10 drafts because we just haven't seen a guy like this.
Can I ask this question? And Joe, you might have the proper response. why doesn't a guy who grades out that high, like I said, Abdul Carter, he gets to the quarterback, he's a guy, special talent. Why doesn't one of those guys, why is that outranked? Why is that trumped by a quarterback? Why does it, we need a quarterback, so we're going to take a quarterback at one, even if they don't grade out that high? How does that work?
You've seen that happen over the years. I mean, if a quarterback has a second-round grade, he's usually going in the first round. It's just a quarterback league. You have to have a quarterback to be successful in the long term. So if you think you have a guy that you can take and have him on a team-friendly contract for at least the first 4 years, and you think this guy can be a starter and help you win games, yeah, teams are going to value that. But I definitely see what you're saying.
I mean, I just don't understand how you pass up on that type of talent.
Let me ask you this, Joe. And we're sitting here, and again, I'm told that the parameters of this trade have been in place, right? And they didn't want to pull it here until after you see Cam Ward. If you're sitting there as a GM and you're the Browns, do you trust it's going to happen? Is it getting you crazy? What's the anxiety of a GM when you have a trade, the parameters of a trade done, or something you want to happen, but you got to wait until someone else is done with their clock?
Yeah, the groundwork's been laid, so you feel good, but you don't ever feel good about it until it's done, until the trade is done, until you're calling the league and saying we've got we've got a team on the line we're trading with. You don't feel good about it, and even though like we're talking about. It's not a big trade that you're discussing about going from 5 to 2.
And it'll be numbers, when I'm told
it's 900 points. I mean, it's a significant.
So I'm told it'll be for a 1 next year also, and a 2 this year is kind of parameters when they pull this off. But that's a lot, especially when you're talking about the Jags, who probably have a top 10 pick next year unless things dramatically change. That's an awful lot.
Well, he is that special. We have so much more to get to when it comes to Travis Hunter. Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio is presented by Express Pros. Express employment professionals can provide contract workers to flex up for peak seasons without having to raise your core workforce headcount. Manage your workforce differently. Visit expresspros.com today. That's expresspros.com. The draft is officially open, guys. This is what we've been waiting for. Tennessee Titans on the clock. I think,
real quick. I don't
yeah,
mean to cut
tell
you
me.
off there. They have, by the way, and this kind of drives me crazy, which, the time goes, and, I have ADHD. You know who you're taking? Just take it. Let's not go 10 minutes. But the Titans told me it was literally back at the combine. They already knew who they were taking. And, I don't know if any of these quarterbacks would go above any of the quarterbacks from last year. Probably wouldn't. All right, you could talk more about that, Joe, but they've known about they started telling teams were calling the Browns and the Giants were calling them, and they told pretty much anybody who was calling them the Titans. I was told a week or two ago, like, just we're not. But they said we made our mind up all the way back at the combine. Like, this was our guy, that's our quarterback, we're rolling with it, and they were all in back then.
What about Cam Ward impresses you, Joe? And do you think this is the right pick for them?
Yeah, I do. Look, he's my number one quarterback. So what Jay said earlier, we felt pretty good last year with Caleb, with Jaden, with Drake. I don't think that Cam is at the top of that group from last year. I think he's a great quarterback. Especially like starting from where he started, a non-ranked, no star, started Incarnate Word, worked his way up there, Washington State, at the U. I mean, he's earned it. He's earned every bit of this number one pick, hopefully. But I love to watch him. He is the ultimate sandlot player. He is fun to watch. His improvisation skills, I think, are top notch. When he's moving, and he's moving a lot, his eyes are always down the field. Like he's always got great field vision. And so he's always looking for his open receiver, and he can whip that ball out quick and find his guy.
And when you need a quarterback, you tend to look at things that in a different light. So when I asked one, obviously ask around, but Joe heard every team in you possibly can about all these guys. But something stood out to me. One head coach said, if you love him, you're going to say to yourself, man, he is so calm in that pocket. If you don't like him, you're going to say, He's way too nonchalant in that pocket. So it's incredible, right, the subjectivity you guys have.
I totally agree with that.
Really?
There's a time in my report. I'm like, and really for the top two quarterbacks, I wrote they're almost too poised. They're almost too poised, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, you want your quarterback to be poised and calm in the pocket with all those bullets flying around him. So that's interesting that you'd say that.
Well, right now, Tennessee on the clock. Jay said it. All right, get to the point. If you know what you're doing, let's get to it. We're going to take a quick break. Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio. Stick around because we have a whole lot of action coming your way. Welcome back. Already an exciting night for us. Appreciate you guys joining us. We got a lot to get to. Guys, the first pick is in for the Tennessee Titans. Let's take a listen.
With the first pick, the Tennessee Titans select Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami, 6'2", 219 pounds.
Cam Ward, as expected, guys. And I know I want to give him enough time to react. It's a big deal, but we do have the first trade of the 2025 NFL Draft, and it is a blockbuster. Jay, you had this information earlier tonight.
Yep, absolutely. So the Jacksonville Jaguars have moved up with the Cleveland Browns, and I'm actually told the parameters of this deal were worked out weeks ago. This is not something that just happened. The problem is that, the Browns, I think, were nervous of why is this not happening. The Jaguars were nervous that something crazy would happen in front of them. As I said to start the show, that suddenly the Titans relented and traded away it's second and fourth. There we go. And traded away Cam Ward. They just wanted to make sure. So before they pull the trigger. But I was told this has been in place for a while. Just want to make sure it happened. Jenny, you, I think, have the details of what it was for. I was told it was for the Browns were getting next year's 1, a 2, obviously the 5th overall pick here, but it's also a 4th rounder in this year's draft as well going to the Browns.
Yeah, this is the official Browns trading the number 2 overall pick, a 4th round pick, number 104, and a 6th round pick, number 200 to the Jaguars. Jaguars are trading the number 5 overall pick, a 2nd round pick, number 36, a 4th round pick, number 126, and their 2026 first round pick to the Browns. So obviously a lot there. Jay had it. Guys, your reaction to this move?
Well, I mean, it sounds like to me.
And the Jaguars are going to take Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's people already know.
Yeah, they know.
It seems like an indication that the Cleveland Browns are admitting that they're trying to rebuild their roster, and they're going to try to do it through the draft. That's what it comes down to me.
I just looking at the stat of the picks exchange, the fact that this is a pick flop, a 2nd round picks instead of a hard second, that's a win for me for the Jaguars. But again, they obviously had their sights set on Travis, and they think this is the guy that can help their offense get over the top.
I'm just still blown away by the fact that you could pass up on guys. If they're so generational and their talent level is so high, it just blows me away. I mean, I was in the draft with Chad Pennington. There were some pretty good players in that 2000 draft, and we wouldn't dare hear of something like this taking place, where one of those guys would be actually selected before one of us. It just didn't seem to make any sense to me. But if they feel good about Cam Ward, and listen, Cam Ward is a player. He makes plays. I mean, obviously, there were a lot of times this year for Miami where Cam Ward needed to step up, and the Miami team needed to step up and come together and try to win the games that they were in, and you were able to see him deal with the adverse situations being out there on the field. So he shows to have, like you guys mentioned, the poise of what he needs to have at the next level. I'm just curious to, is he good enough? Will he be able to suit that number 1 draft pick billing? That's my deal.
Yeah, look, his release is unbelievable. I mean, just going through his critical factors and his position specifics, he's got the release, he's got the accuracy, he can drive the ball. I mean, when I look at him from a scouting perspective, I can nitpick a little bit. He doesn't get the ball out on time very often, and so that's why he's usually drifting, moving, creating extra time. So building the right offense around him, the RPOs, I think,
because he is very mobile. He is mobile.
Very mobile.
Yeah, he's very mobile.
And his improvisation skills are a major strength, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, so, again, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to go here. And I know people are saying, well, where should Shedeur Sanders go? It's the Giants. I don't have the Giants going that direction. I do have them taking your guy, Abdul Carter,
I like that.
Who was generally regarded as the top pass rusher in this draft. But, again, just to go back to something like this, you kind of look at it. And, Joe, you would know better. You're a first-time GM. That's a lot to give up in your first draft, to not have a top 10 pick next year, to not have a 2nd round pick this year. Just kind of give me your take. I mean, you could sit there and go, man, this guy has some cojones, or, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's a bold move. I mean, look, it's out the gate for him to do that. I mean, if this is the guy that you think is going to turn the franchise around, help be that dude, then yeah, go do it. So,
but wouldn't this be a move of a team that thinks they're a player away, not a bunch of holes away?
Yes, it would.
Right.
It would. But they obviously feel good about some of the offensive pieces they have. They feel like they've got the quarterback in Trevor. Let's go get them a dude. Who knows what their plan is if they are going to play him both ways. But like we talked about earlier, this is a team that has a quarterback. So give this guy to the quarterback, in my opinion.
And Jay, you mentioned that Travis's team knew about this.
Yeah.
How did they feel? What was their reaction?
They would just. I didn't have one either. I mean, like no state tax versus state tax. But they weren't disappointed. They weren't disappointed. Yeah,
it's such a waste of a player.
They were not disappointed.
I'm sorry, Travis Hunter going to Jacksonville. That market. I mean, it'd be great for Jacksonville, but man, yeah, it is what it is.
The pick is in for the Jaguars. We're going to wait on that.
You're not going to do it?
With the second pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Travis Hunter, cornerback wide receiver, Colorado, 6 foot, 188 pounds.
Duval.
LaVar's been waiting for that. Just the joy. It makes me so excited seeing these moments.
I don't know if I'm sure, at the owners meeting this year, every year Mike Tomlin and I throw a day drinking day. You saw it on Instagram, and we all try to get Liam Combs to do the Duval. And he was so scarred, he squeaked out an even worse one.
Oh, no.
We had 26 head coaches there. And it's like, come on, Liam, you got to go for it. You just got to own it already. And he was scarred.
That was all over social media. It really was.
Yeah, he had a lot of pressure on him. We were killing him.
He's going to shed. Travis Hunter is going to shed a ton of light on the market. I mean, it's an electrifying player. He's an electrifying personality. Loves the game. Loves the sport. I'm excited to see it. I would have liked to seen him go to a bigger market team, though.
Well, Fox Sports Radio's Draft Night Live is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club, your place to get everything you need to stay smooth and smell great. Visit dollarshaveclub.com/draft and use promo code DRAFT for 20% off your order, $20 or more, plus free shipping. That's dollarshaveclub.com/draft.
Hey, given the move, the player you thought you were getting, and all of a sudden, bam, it slipped out of your hands.
Okay, yeah.
We don't know.
Here's one that probably most people don't know about. So 2 years ago, we had just made the trade for Aaron.
Aaron who?
Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if you've heard of him, but we just traded for Aaron. So in that trade, we flopped picks with Green Bay. We went from 13 to 15, and so we were absolutely dead set, and I was prepared to take the heat at the time, but we were dead set on Jahmyr Gibbs. We were taking Jahmyr Gibbs.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we were taking Jahmyr Gibbs just because we were going to go. Let's just load up on weapons, man. Like this guy is not just a running back, as everyone sees now. He's not just a runner. This guy is a weapon out of the backfield in the pass game. So we were 100%. We didn't think anyone was going to take him, probably until the 20s, and then Detroit made a trade with Arizona, I believe. Arizona came up to get Paris Johnson, the tackle from Ohio State, and they moved back and they took him 3 picks before we were set to grab him. But again, that's why you go through all the strategy meetings. That's why you go through all the meetings with the coaches and scouts and make sure you're prepared for any scenario. And we were.
Jahmyr Gibbs. I was supposed to be the insider. I didn't know that one.
Yeah, well,
because Joe's the only guy who never told me anything going in the draft. He really didn't. He didn't.
And why was that, Joe?
I came up.
I could have told you.
I came up like, you protect this stuff. You keep it under lock and key. But after being with Jay all afternoon and just seeing all the information that he gets, and I was pretty much an idiot for not calling you, because you would have been like, hey man, if you really want this guy, this is what you're going to
go over here, right?
That's all right. You live and learn, Joe. You live and learn.
Joe got to sit there with me all day today, and you were kind of shocked at my guys don't lie to me.
No, they do not, obviously.
That's good.
It's a really interesting dynamic watching Jay Glazer in action, guys. The New York Giants on the clock,
and they've been locked in on Abdul Carter.
And I know
they love him and Travis Hunter. They had them both together. They're top of their draft board. But they thought that Travis would go as well. Giants were trying to trade all the way up there for Cam Ward. That wouldn't happen, but Abdul Carter has been their guy, and that's your guy.
That's
That
your
is
guy.
my guy. And listen, they run a 3-4 style defense, so it'll be interesting to see how they use him because you can use him at the defensive tackles position in this defense, which is almost like a 6 technique, almost sort of kind of type of defensive end, or you can use him as a stand-up outside backer, a Sam, or on either side of the defense, and you can move him off. You can play him on the inside as well within that 3-4 defense. So we talk about the versatility of what Jacksonville just received in getting Travis Hunter, but Abdul Carter's versatility, it shines through as well. You can see him in pass coverages. He can cover 30, 40 yards downfield. So if it's New York taking him at this pick, they're getting a generational talent in Abdul Carter.
What I was told also, a couple things from inside the Giants. One, because they have Thibodeau, they have Brian Burns. They're like, hey, when we won the Super Bowl with Strahan, there's Strahan, Justin Tuck, Osi Umenyiora.
Yeah.
Like we had pass rushers, one just
Yes.
two, right? But the other thing, one of the guys in there said to me, he's listed at 6'2". They're like, he's not 6'2".
No.
He's way tall. Like they're like, we don't know where 6'2" came from. But
No,
he ain't
Abdul is
6'2".
6'3". He's 6'3". He's all
Up
of a
there.
good 245,
Right.
250.
6'3" and a half.
Yeah,
like they're
6'3".
like, yeah, right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There he is. Stick
Right.
City, baby. It's a place.
Well, you're listening to Draft Night live on Fox Sports Radio. I'm here with NFL insider Jay Glazer, College Football Hall of Famer LaVar Arrington, former GM Joe Douglas. I'm Janty Taft, and we are ready to hear the pick is in for the New York Giants.
With the third pick, the New York Giants select Abdul Carter, edge, Penn State, 6'3", 250 pounds.
LaVar, I like the look. How about this from Abdul Carter?
Yeah, he's got a nice little stylish thing going there. He's got the incredible chain on. He uses the ones in the incredible. But, just to talk about, you can't speak enough about the maturity level that he carries with himself. Very workmanlike, very professional for quite some time. I like to believe the influences that we've had on him have played a major part in him understanding how he needs to approach his work and the value, constantly building and learning the value. So it's a great pick for them. He's a no-nonsense type of guy, and he will bring, as I mentioned, he'll bring a ton of value to the table. So I'm excited for him. And, yes, this is the perfect market for a big-time player to go into and have some success.
I brought up Strahan. That's the first call he should make, by the way, when he gets there.
That's a great
Michael
point.
work with all these guys. But, obviously because where he's from and his position, he's compared a lot to Micah. Where is he like Micah and where is he not like Micah? Micah Parsons.
Yeah, it's a great comparison. I'd love to know.
I would say in looking at the comparison of what they are, Micah is probably a more explosive player, maybe a little bit better in open space. But Abdul Carter and me and Joe were talking about it. His bend, his ability to slingshot off of the edge and still maintain his quickness, still maintain his strength. I think he's pretty second to none with his ability to get off of the ball and turn that corner and turn that edge. I think as he continues to learn at the pro level, and again, this is his first year playing true defensive end.
Right.
So as he gets more and more reps playing as a defensive end, I think we'll see more development of what his signature tools will represent and what they will be. And I think that will play a major part in him being able to have success because this is, as we know, a super pass-heavy league now. And you got to have a guy that can get to the quarterback. And it's not looking at these defensive ends, these edges, as we now call them, the same way anymore. You don't see the 6'6", 6'5", 250, 80, 60, 70 pounders that can set edges, but also can kind of pass rush a little bit. You want speed guys these days. So the comparisons are probably more similar with Micah and Abdul than I would say looking at the differences between them.
Yeah. LaVar, I love this guy. So this was my number one player
Number one.
in the entire draft. So he won A, Travis won B. I love them both. Like this guy.
What about him stands out?
Wears 11 and wears it well.
He does wear it well.
He wears it well. He's earned it. But what stood out about him, Jenny, like honestly, I said in my report, like this guy, he's going to go whatever defense he goes. He's going to be the most athletic D lineman, most athletic linebacker, probably most athletic safety. He's just a freak athlete. And like we talked about, I mean, this guy has explosive get off. He turns the corner at the top of the pocket like an F1 race car. He is all gas now. He is fast. And like LaVar said, the versatility. There's a play in the Wisconsin game. He drops in coverage. He looks like an all-pro linebacker. He hits the Wisconsin slot like Ray Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just dislodges the guy from the ball. I mean, this guy, he can play almost anywhere on your defense. I think he unlocks a lot of creativity for defensive coordinators. You can line him up almost anywhere. He can be kind of that X rover around the line of scrimmage and blitz packages.
They still use X, huh?
Yeah.
I was an X backer.
Yeah, man.
All
And
right.
I remember
Pretty good one.
sitting with him too, and he just has this quiet confidence to the way
It's
he
quiet
carries himself.
confidence. Yes, it's
but
quiet
his
confidence.
teammates rave about his work ethic, and I know we touched on that, but it came up from players, from coaches, and just how much he actually studied Micah as well. So he was planning for this moment, but just such a leader, and he blew me away in person and on the field, and I'm excited to see what he does.
By the way, I'm taking calls now from other teams there. Now that the first trade happens, it's almost like okay, let's keep up with the Joneses, and other teams are trying to move up. I've had teams, the Carolina Panthers, they're trying to get out of that. The Raiders would consider it. So I know teams are trying to move it, and there's it's an interesting draft, and Joe and I talked about it. I got a lot of teams who have 7 guys rated in the first round. Some have 11. A lot have like 13 or 14. You don't have an awful lot. So if you have a conviction, so my phone is blowing up about people who are trying to now think about if they want to jump up, if they want to move up. Look, the Patriots are up next, and the whole entire time we thought offensive linemen, and they went out and saw the LSU linemen who, again, usually you have like, a few blue chip tackles can't miss, and you don't really have it. You had here Will Campbell from LSU, and then everybody liked to talk about his arm length not being long enough, which is the dumbest thing I could ever hear from, having 1 inch, arms being shorter. And you could talk about that for a guy who, shut people down for years and years and years. But you don't have a million corners like you usually do. You don't have a bunch of receivers like you usually do. You don't have all these offensive linemen that like, man, we got to go up and get one of these linemen. We're going to make sure we have one of the top 5 because there's one, and the Patriots are going to take them. And then there's just a big group, and nobody's convicted on what that group is.
It's a great point because this draft has depth. It has depth at running back. It has depth at tight end. But years past, the depth was at really premium positions: quarterback, pass rusher, offensive tackle, corner. And it's just not as deep. I feel like the top tackle in this draft would have a tough time cracking the top 5 in last year's draft. So what Jay says is right. And for me, in terms of numbers of player graded in the first round, I probably had 11.
And by the way, I just want to get on this. So the Patriots are going to end up taking, Will Campbell. And then the Browns are sitting there, and, you have that running back in Janty. You have, we thought Janty was going to go. But I was told by sources when they got the trade done, I said, so you're going to go Janty? He says, no, actually, we like Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan. Which, I thought at one point he could drop out of the top 10. And, Mason Graham is the guy that had put him up there with, obviously with Myles Garrett to do something on the defensive side of the ball. But that's what I'm told the Browns want to do, which would be a big shock also, which could push people down the road a little bit of who the top players were, if you say, because there wasn't this big consensus of, and you and I talked about Mason Graham a lot. I talked to Wink Martindale, his defense coordinator today, who's like, I want him to go out there and work your MMA program with you. Mm-hmm. I think he needs that. He's a wrestler, but he kind of needs your guys crazy a little bit. But, man, that's, again, in these mocks, we didn't have Mason Graham going top 5 anywhere. And now he'll end up going top 5 if what my guy tells me in the Browns is accurate, which I think it is. I think you'll have Campbell here and Mason Graham after that.
Mason Graham is pretty athletic defensive tackle. Anytime you look at what you got in Fisk last year.
Yeah, they're both wrestlers, right?
You're looking at leverage guys, good to get to their gaps, 2 gappers. I think it's a safe pick to get an interior guy that can play the way that he's played and the brand of football they played at Michigan.
Yeah, look, I mean, we talked about the first pick. Cam Ward isn't exactly built like Cam Newton. Mason Graham isn't really going to remind anyone of Albert Haynesworth, but throw on the tape, this dude is a hell of a football player. Great feet. He moves like a linebacker. Super active, and picks in.
Pick is in for the Patriots.
With the fourth pick, the New England Patriots select Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU, 6'6", 319 pounds.
But yeah, like I was saying about Mason, like just watch the tape. He's all over the tape, making plays, shooting gaps, getting in the backfield, making big plays in big moments. Like he's a big game hunter. When your best is required, he plays at his best. So the tape doesn't lie on Mason.
And Will Campbell does have short arms. I mean, his arms are not long. And I will
by
say
an inch. Like when you got a stocky chest, I mean, that's
a difficult. I would not be surprised if he ended up making a move to guard in the league. I would not be surprised by that because it may
they ain't taking a guard at 4.
It may be very. I understand that. I know they're projecting him to be a tackle.
Right.
I get it. But it may be a difficult proposition to have a short arm tackle.
I agree.
That's all I'll say.
I agree with you both. I agree.
That's
with you
not a
both.
good. No, Joe.
You can't agree with us both.
of
No,
us.
I agree with you
Get
both
off the
because
fence.
all right, this is what I'm saying. You obviously did not take Will Campbell to be a guard,
Right.
but I agree with LaVar. I think his best position may be along the interior because of the arm length, and I specifically say that because of the Super Bowl when you saw Joe Thuney have to play out of position at left tackle. Teams with length are looking to expose that.
All
But
right.
this is a great play. Will
You know
Campbell's
better
a
than
great
me,
play.
yeah.
Enough arm length discussion. Will Campbell going to the
matters.
Patriots. We're just getting going here. Stick around. Draft Night Live. We'll be right back.
The Raiders don't know what they're doing yet because they didn't think Janty was going to be there.
Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio is brought to you by ShipStation. Calm the chaos with the shipping software that delivers. Use code SPORTS for a free trial at ShipStation.com. That's ShipStation.com, code SPORTS. After the read, I mean. Throughout the first round of the draft, you can stream us live in the iHeartRadio app by searching Fox Sports Radio. And you can also watch us live on YouTube. Just search Fox Sports Radio right now on YouTube and be sure to hit the subscribe button. Guys, the Browns pick is in.
With the 5th pick, the Cleveland Browns select Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan. 6'3.5", 296 pounds.
Jay had it.
Well, we talked about Mason Graham. And again, I talked to his defense coordinator, Wink Martindale, today. Said, man, love him. You'd love him. He has, look, for a wrestler, you understand the human body better than most. But a lot of teams took him off or moved him down because his body was doughy, which is actually a lot of heavyweight wrestlers. But, man, obviously there's a lot of love for him. But I just want to tell you what's going on after that. So the Raiders, man, they were sitting there going, even if Ashton Janty's there, they're going to possibly think about trading down. They're talking about offensive tackle, and they're going to talk about Janty. I know when it comes down to it, they don't trade the pick. They're going to end up going Janty. Then the Jets, they were looking between Ty Warren and offensive lineman. I know they were having conversations back and forth between those two, and the offensive lineman was Membu, who is pretty much, I think, the second tackle on most teams' boards as well. I think that's where the Jets end up going. And 8, the Carolina Panthers, they are trying to get out of that pick right now. They've been calling around all day long. Other teams are talking to them as well. So just, trying to add a little bit subterfuge here in this draft.
Well, the Raiders wasting no time. The pick is in.
With the 6th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders. Ashton Janty, running back, Boise State, 5'8.5", 211 pounds.
Ashton Janty, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I like the pick.
Loved it. Love it.
Special.
Love it.
If it's me, I know everybody wants to look at the running backs position as not as valuable as it once was, and maybe so. But Ashton Janty and his ability to run the ball, he reminds me, in my estimation, I look at him, he has different bits and pieces of games. He has some Emmitt Smith in him with his movement and his balance, but he does give me like a little bit of like I'm thinking of the running back that played for the Carolina Panthers, had the dreadlocks.
D'Angelo Williams?
D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah.
He gives me a little D'Angelo Williams. I like him. I know a lot of people have compared him in his numbers to Barry Sanders, like statistics. But I think he's a game changer, and I think he's a day one impact player, game changer.
And you know what? I think, look, Saquon kind of showed, hey, let's put that running back position back up where it should be. And if you have a great running back, I know you need a good line. Saquon wouldn't have done with the Giants this year what he did with the Eagles. But if you have somebody like that, man, it makes life so much easier for everybody else. And this guy, there was two guys that everybody said the cleanest guys in this draft, and it was pretty unanimous, were Travis Hunter and Ashton Janty. Both of them just get it also. He really gets it. And you're going to get a dynamic guy. I've known somebody at Boise also for the last couple of years. He's like, you would love this kid. Army brat, you just love what he's about, love his makeup. So, and think about this. Chip Kelly's the offensive coordinator now with the Raiders, right? So you get a guy over there. You have Geno Smith, obviously your quarterback. But think of things that and look, Ashton, I think, didn't do a lot of pass catching at Boise because they want to get him the record. So you're not going to throw the ball an awful lot, right, to a guy that you're trying to get the running back record for. But I think him and Chip Kelly, that's going to be pretty magical.
It's a great point about Chip Kelly. I hadn't thought of it that way. Joe, do you believe that the value of the running back has really shifted back to that high priority?
Well, I think Jay mentioned it in the year that Saquon had. How can you deny the importance of a running back? Especially, I feel like this is as good of a running back class as we've seen here. Here we see Emmitt Smith's tape that LaVar just compared him to. But this is as good of a running back class as there's been in a while. And Ashton Janty, make no mistake, 5'8.5", but he is a power running back. He runs with mentality. Like, I have not graded a 5'8" power back, a power back this short since Frank Gore coming out of Miami.
Wow, it's good.
But not the same run style because, Frank ran low to the ground. Ashton runs upright. So he's almost got a style of, like, I described it as a micro Marshawn or a half pint Henry. Like, he's got that upright run style, but he's got great feet. His lower strength and contact balance is elite, and he's got a finishing kick to score from anywhere on the field. So he is a special running back.
Hey, real quick, so we're talking about him, but the Jets are up. Obviously this would have been your draft. This was your guy. Do you disassociate yourself? Do you sit up here and go, oh, man? Do you sit up here and watch as a fan because you still got people in that building? What does it feel like for you?
Yeah, you still root for a lot of people in that building. You really do. And, it'll be interesting to see what they do here. But
I think they end up going the offensive lineman.
Yeah, look, I mean, if they do decide to go offensive lineman, if we think it's Membo, who's obviously you're not projecting Membo at all. Yeah. He's a right tackle at Missouri, and he's going to most likely play right tackle. Your offensive line's done. Right. Like, you've got 5 good young players for the foreseeable future. And look, when AG was at Detroit, right, they had an unbelievable offensive line. Right. And a lot of it was put together. And to add a guy like a Membo, if they choose to go that direction, your offensive line's complete, and it's a good group.
Well, here's what I know. I know they had Ty Warren up there. They had Membo up there. They even had Walker from Georgia, the DN linebacker.
I was going
so those are the guys that kind of had lumped in, and they were talking about it all day today. Like, it wasn't – they didn't have this, oh, man, we know we want Membo for weeks and weeks and weeks. They're still kind of going back on it.
Tyler Warren, game changer, day one. Jalen Walker – could be the steal of the draft. Now, you heard me say it here. Jalen could be the steal of the draft if they were to take him.
And, Carolina, who right now is taking calls, and they've been trying to trade out. They had guys like Jalen Walker up there. They had Walter Nolan. They have a receiver, Tet McMillan. They're kind of over them out, but they're trying to get themselves out of this pick. And like I said, I know that they are in talks as we speak with other teams.
One thing for sure, guys, Ashton Janty left his mark on that blue turf. He plans to do it in the NFL as well. We do have to take a quick break. Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio continues next. I'm enjoying this. Jay Glazer, the insider, he knows all. Former GM Joe Douglas, college football Hall of Famer LaVar Arrington. This is where all the action happens. The New York Jets pick is coming up after the break. Some
Jenny
surprises
Taft.
so far.
Jenny Taft, baby.
All right, I'm here too. And I love these stories. I love these athletes. I get emotional. So much more to come. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio. Jenny, Jay, Joe, LaVar. Guys, a lot can happen when we're away on break. The pick is in for the Jets. Let's get to it.
With the 7th pick, the New York Jets select Armand Membo, offensive tackle, Missouri, 6'4", 332 pounds.
So
As
guys,
expected, Jay.
Yep, this is the Jets again. They had a couple guys they were looking at. They were looking at Ty Warren, tight end from Penn State. They were looking at Walker, the linebacker from Georgia, and they were looking at this offensive lineman, Armand Membo, as well. And again, when you talk about these offensive linemen, this is pretty much the order most teams had it, but not where, hey, man, these guys are bona fide top 10. So, again, the Jets are doing something you've had an issue with for a long time there at offensive line. And then Carolina Panthers are doing the same thing. They had a couple guys. They had Tet McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona. They had Jalen Walker also. They had Walter Nolan in that mix. And they're kind of going back and forth. They were trying to get out. I had a team saying we try to trade up with them. We thought we were going to be able to. But all of a sudden, they were able to make a change there and say, man, we're convicted on a guy. I think that ends up being Tet McMillan. But, again, what do you think about the Jets getting Membo trying to do something you try to do for a long time is shore up that offensive line?
Yeah, it's shored up now like we talked about earlier. I think this is a good pick for the Jets. And, look, right tackle is solidified. You got left tackle, which was solidified last year with Olu Fashanu. You got the center, Joe Tippmann. You got the right guard in Vera Tucker. John Simpson's at left guard. You've got it's a solid wall. It's a strong wall up front for the offense. So I think it's a great pick, and I think it's a mentality pick. And I think Membu has the most upside of any tackle in the draft.
Really? Why?
Yeah, I think he's got elite feet. I think he can bend, and I think he's got elite length too. So I think he can do a lot of different things. If you want to run power, he can run power. If you want to run zone, he can get up to second levels and block.
He came back from a big injury too, didn't he?
Which did,
people were surprised about, right?
Yeah, but he's a competitor. He hasn't played a ton of football. He's a young guy too, but he's a good player, and he went up against a ton of great competition in the SEC. So I do think this is a really good first pick for AJ Muji.
We're going to move on, guys, because the pick is in for the Carolina Panthers.
With the 8th pick, the Carolina Panthers select Tetairoa McMillan, wide receiver, Arizona, 6'4", 219 pounds.
Tetairoa McMillan. I was around Arizona a bit this year. He is the most humble star you will come across. That's how his teammates describe him. His size, his playmaking ability, he was really special up close.
You know, he is a special player, and listen, he's I want to say Polynesian background. I want to mess it up. It could be Tongan, but I'm pretty certain it's Polynesian. Super family oriented guy. So when you talk about that humility and what he brings to the table, he has been one of the most special wide receivers playing the game. I think as special as anyone coming out in this. I had him on my number one board. Interesting fact, him and Mason Graham actually went to the same high school as Servite High here out in California. So you got two top draft picks from one high school going in this one. But Tetairoa, I think he's one of those type of guys. I hate to do it because it seems like, you can telegraph this one, but we look at Puka Nacua. I call him Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
You call him Puka Nacua. But he brings that type of element and then some. His athletic ability, he was a volleyball player. His vertical is out of this world. Yep. Special talent, special player in Tetairoa McMillan.
And by the way, for a guy like him, sorry, I'm getting a text over here also, guys. Wow.
I don't know how Jay multitasks, to be honest.
A guy like him, because now the Saints are on the clock, and everybody thought it'd be Mikael Williams, and people were actually trying to move up for Mikael Williams, and I was always told it was offensive or defensive lineman. So I think they can go Mikael Williams. I can go Kelvin Banks, the offensive tackle for Texas. But go back there to Tet. Mm-hmm. He was the number one receiver on this board, besides Travis Hunter, by far. Like, it wasn't close, and just the ball skills he has, the catch radius, how much he goes up for these things, the things you're able to do for it. I had a team all the way down in the 20s who was considering moving up into the top 10 for him, which is how much he was well liked. But again, you don't have, this isn't that Jefferson Jeff. You don't have 5 receivers. You're like, man, these receivers are all out there. I got to get them. There's really one top 10 receiver in this draft, and it was him.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like last year you had those top 3, right? And Harrison and Neighbors and Roma Dunze. But you're right. Tetz is a big man, huge catch radius, really smooth mover. For a guy that big, he's really smooth and athletic in his routes. You know, he doesn't create elite separation, but he creates separation with his body. He can go up and get those 50-50 balls, and he's going to be a big weapon in the red zone for this team.
So, again, let me just get back here a little bit here. So, the Saints were kind of a wild card. By the way, people thought, okay, Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback, whatever. I still think there's a chance later on they can go to get a quarterback. I think it would be Jackson Dart, who they would if they decided to go do that. But there were teams that were convinced. Everybody's convinced that they're going Mikael Williams here. And there were teams that loved them, right? So then you sit there and go, all right, who's after that? The Saints, where, again, I don't think they go that route. I think they go the offensive lineman here instead in Banks, because then again, we talked about that drop-off here, right, of what those offensive tackles are. So this was, again, the Saints, and I'm being told it's going to be Banks. That was a great smokescreen on their end, where everybody thought first Shedeur Sanders. Everybody was convinced there. Then everybody was convinced there that it was going to be, Mikael Williams. And, man, they're going to end up going the other way and go get the offensive lineman.
Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio is presented by Express Pros. Express employment professionals can provide contract workers to flex up for peak seasons without having to raise your core workforce headcount. Manage your workforce differently. Visit expresspros.com today. That's expresspros.com.
Love it.
Jay,
anything right now that seems to be on your mind, considering I know you're busy on that phone?
Yeah, I am busy on the phone. The Bears we after the Saints, we go to the Bears, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, the Bears were in an interesting situation. They've got a couple guys there that I know they love offensive line. They did like Membo. They like Banks. They like the DN, Mikael Williams. Actually, they like Starks, who's a safety from Georgia. They have him up there. He's another one of those guys like Jalen Walker. Like, man, what a war daddy a guy like this is. But I think they're going to sit there and go, okay, we didn't think all these guys would be here. So they're still going back and forth on what they want to do as well. There was all these things that they're going to try to trade up for Janty. Never the case. That was never the case. The Bears were never trying to trade up for an Ashton Janty, or I think there was something also for a receiver. That wasn't the case also. So they're pretty good where they were, sitting at 10. But again, a lot's going to ride on the Saints here. And I think the Saints do go offensive line. I was told they go offensive line.
Yeah, the early trade kind of shook things up from the earlier conversations you were having, because everyone thought that that Janty was going to go earlier to the Jacksonville, and now no one thought that Mason Graham was going to go. So there's players falling.
That's exactly right.
That teams didn't think they were going to be able to access.
It's fascinating how it all works. I think that's why we all love it. The drama, the excitement. The pick is in for the Saints.
With the 9th pick, the New Orleans Saints select Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle, Texas, 6'5", 315 pounds.
Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. LaVar, your reaction to this one?
I mean, it's a safe pick, if you ask me. I mean, they need protection. I'm super curious, knowing that the shoulder injury that is surfaced with Carr, some of the aging elements that you have on the defensive side of the ball.
Wait, real quick. I'm just telling you. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
If I'm getting here, I'm talking about the Bears, right? And I said, man, they got Mikael Williams and Malachi Starks. Also, they were in for a tight end as well, and I think they're going to look.
They're going to take Ty.
I think they're going to go Loveland over. I know they had Loveland over Ty Warren, but again, it's
That's
still kind of
ridiculous.
going on in that war room a little bit.
leave
But
that
no,
up
I
to
think
the
they end up
Bears.
going Colts and Loveland. Just in talking to them, they thought one of those two tight ends would be off the board there. But again, they didn't know how this draft board would go as well. So I think they end up going Loveland.
Well, let's compare, because LaVar,
And then the
I know
49ers will end up taking Mikael Williams, who's the guy they loved that they were trying to trade up for in the first place. But go ahead.
you're close with Tyler Warren. Obviously, you've seen Colston Loveland up close too. Why
Yeah.
Tyler over Colston, in your opinion?
I just think more dynamic. I think he's a more dynamic in his ability to be able to do more more things than just catch the ball, right? He can run routes very well, but you can use him in so many different ways. He is a good blocker. He's a sound blocker. He's also able – I mean, he understands the game so well. You can split him out. You know, you can put on mid-range routes. You can put him in deep routes. There are a lot of things that Tyler Warren is very, 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 very gifted at, but he also is a hard worker in how he's developed his game.
How did you grade these two, Joe?
Yeah, look, I think it's just whatever flavor you want. I feel like Tyler Warren, to me, is a 3-down tight end. He is a true Y. He can line at the end of the line of scrimmage and give you a lot of value in the run game. And then I think a real credit to Penn State and their offensive coaching staff for how they utilized him and unlocked all this creativity for him, being a former high school quarterback, using him as a wildcat, splitting him out at wide receiver, finding many different ways to get him the football. He's a weapon in the pass game too. And I think with Colston is more of your F tight end. Colston is an elite route runner. He moves like a wide receiver. Like he runs around. Like there's times when I'm looking at a wide receiver out there, Adam Thielen out there running routes. He knows how to get open. He's a major weapon in the pass game. But to me, Tyler really gives you, and I think Colston's a competitor at the line of scrimmage as well, but I think Tyler is a true Y, which a lot of offenses are looking for.
It's crazy you say that because I asked Sharon Moore just today. He said Colston is a wide receiver in a tight end's body, and just the way he's progressed throughout his years at Michigan, he's only just starting.
And the one thing also, he had terrible quarterback play over there. Right, so you have to look and go, he didn't have a quarterback.
Great
and
point.
Again, when we talked to Wink Martindale today, he was like, oh, man, I love this kid. He is really going to blossom on that next level. He still has room to grow in his body. I think that'll be a really good pick there for the Bears.
Colston Loveland from small town Gooding, Idaho. He was overlooked and under-recruited. Obviously had a very successful career at Michigan. Can't say enough about him. And, you know, it's a big debate here. I know LaVar's all in on Tyler Warren, but all equally talented.
Too. No, I'm okay with Loveland. Again, it's a receiving league, even at the tight ends position. It has continued to evolve. You see what they're doing with Kittle. You see what they're doing with Kelsey and a host of other names that go along with those names. So it definitely pays to have a receiving first tight end versus a blocking tight end, which, as you heard, the Y, the true Y. You know, you don't see people going Y anymore because these guys aren't really true tight ends. But I do think that Tyler Warren is a true tight end that can block and bring those elements to the game, but also is as good as well at being a receiving tight end.
And I don't think anybody thought Ty Warren would drop down here also in the middle of this first round.
No, I think
So
that's
it's
what he
interesting,
was
right?
going into the Jets.
Right.
I thought he was going to the Bears. I mean, I thought he'd end up with the Bears, and so that's interesting. And they did take a tight end. They just didn't take him.
It's crazy how it shifts so
Right.
early in the night with that big move, that blockbuster trade.
Right.
And everything goes down, right?
There's a trickle effect for sure.
There's a trickle effect.
And again, I was saying, like a team like the Niners, they were trying to trade up because they bought into, hey, man, Kel Williams will go to the Saints. What was going to happen with the Panthers. It's interesting, too. The Panthers were calling around for a while to trade down. And it is funny, Joe, how all of a sudden you're on the clock. You're like, no, we're convicted all of a sudden. But you're not convicted before it.
Well, again, maybe like we talked about, you didn't think one of these players was going to be there. That you said, okay.
No, they thought Ted was going to be there, but they just weren't as convicted. They were trying to get out.
Yeah.
Joe,
They just decided we're sticking and picking.
can you break down what it's like in the war room? And is it anxious? Is it preparation? Are there nerves?
I think there are nerves early. You just want to see. You're just waiting to see how things shake out. But again, you've been through so many of these strategy meetings with the coaches, with the scouts, with the ownership. You've gone over every scenario, and at this point, you've got your roadmap planned out. You've got your strategy on what you're going to do, what your pivots are. If these guys are gone, okay, you're going to pivot here. So now you're just kind of executing the game plan, and it's just you're trying to keep it calm. And you're not going to panic over anything that happens that you weren't expecting because we've gone over everything. The amount of preparation that's gone into it, you're just letting the board come to you.
The anticipation. I feel like the Bears have been taking a while here, but finally the pick is in for the Chicago Bears.
With the 10th pick, the Chicago Bears select Colston Loveland, tight end, Michigan, 6'6", 248 pounds.
Guys, this is a big one that Jay had. We reacted to it. Colston Loveland, obviously a player that I really spent a lot of time with and watched that development. What are your reactions to the move for Chicago? Jay?
Again, tight end, they're going to try and load up there for Ben Johnson, obviously. And it's an interesting thing because, again, the 49ers, they had Mikael Williams the whole time, and they were not confident that he was going to be there. And Joe, and we can get back to it after the break, but this is the interesting part of, man, you're so nervous about things, and all of a sudden the guy comes down in your lap that you thought, no way he's going to be there. Because, unfortunately, they all listen to all these different mocks and all these things come out, but that was their guy and the drop-off after him was pretty severe for a team like the 49ers.
And now everyone's high-fiving in that draft room, I'm sure.
It's a good feeling. Fox Sports Radio's Draft Night Live is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club, your place to get everything you need to stay smooth and smell great. Visit dollarshaveclub.com/draft and use promo code DRAFT for 20% off your order of $20 or more plus free shipping. That's dollarshaveclub.com/draft. Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio. More after the break. And welcome back. Thanks for hanging with us. The pick is in for the San Francisco 49ers.
With the 11th pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Mikael Williams, edge, Georgia, 6'5", 260 pounds.
Mikael Williams, what do you guys make of this one?
So, again, the 49ers, he was their guy. This was the guy they wanted. And they were so nervous, they started calling up middle of the first round to try and jump up ahead of what they thought the Saints would do. All right. And again, this is what happens when people don't have the same conviction. They were convicted about this guy the entire time. And, the nervousness of Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and those guys thinking, man, it's not going to happen, not going to happen. It comes all the way down. By the way, the Cowboys are up next. They're entertaining trades right now. If they don't, they're going to end up going offensive line. All right. And I think, this is where you could have a guy like Booker from Alabama, where you get an absolute stud, right? Absolute, we say war daddy, but he's a pure guard. But okay, he's a pure guard. But again, go back to the 49ers. They were so locked in on him. And when you got locked in on a guy like this, it's kind of like, oh man, we gotta go up and get him. But it was sometimes the moves you end up not making or work out in your favor, Joe.
Yeah, this one fell right into their lap, and this guy, literally and figuratively, he is a dog. Like, the way he plays, he has hammer hands. He is an excellent point of attack player, great length, great feet. He can reduce inside and pass rush third down situations. He's going to be a handful for guards as an interior rusher. He is just a tempo setter. He plays nasty. He plays with an edge. I love this pick by the 49ers.
By the way, quick note, Houston Texans they've been trying to trade up these last couple picks as well. They're calling aggressively around. Just something to keep your eye on.
Gives me Eldon Smith vibes, right? Like,
Very much
he's
so.
tall, long, rangy, but is strong at the point of attack. You could actually almost flirt with calling him a true DN.
Right.
There
weren't a lot of those in this draft.
There weren't a lot of them, right?
Those
Yeah,
tweener pass rushers who are 250 pounds.
He's got some good weight to him. So I think that's a great pick for them. It fits the mold of player that Kyle Shanahan and that, now Salah being back in the mix as well, fits that 49ers team.
And guys, the pick is in for the Dallas Cowboys.
With the 12th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select Tyler Booker, offensive guard, Alabama, 6'5", 321 pounds.
So, again, Tyler Booker, when I talked to people in Dallas, they were looking at Tet, the wide receiver, two other receivers as well. They were looking at some of these tackles, but they looked at Booker as like, man, this is about as sure thing as you can get. He's a guy also, I was told, that he basically told people on his team, if you bow out of our postseason here for your draft, you got to go through me. Like, he's one of those guys that's going to set the tone. And I'm sitting there talking to people in the Cowboys, they're like, yeah, but we love him. We just have to get around the fact he's only a guard. I'm like, who cares? It doesn't matter if he's guard or tackle. If you're going to get a guy you think will be a Pro Bowler
Larry
for
Allen.
9 years, right?
He was only a guard.
There's nothing like Larry Allen, though. But
He was
Larry
only
Allen
a
wasn't a
guard.
guard. He was guard, tackle, everything. But,
do anything.
man, if you got but Zach Martin, if you got a Pro Bowl guard in there for years, but also a guy who elevates your entire room, I say you overlook the fact that he's, guard, tackle. He can't do both. He's just a guard. Man, this guy's more than just a guard. He is a man. He's a war daddy.
So
I know I've said that a couple times in here today. I'm only saying about a few guys.
Yeah.
But he's one of them.
Yeah. And we used to have a term for this type of player, really the last two players. We talk about tempo setters. Like in Baltimore, this was we'd call it a red star player. And this was the guy you'd want to bring with you on your side to any fight. And this guy brings mentality, nasty, toughness. I mean, he is the offensive line version of the last guy we just talked about from Georgia. He is the absolute toughest, meanest, nastiest guy on the field. He plays angry. This is another great pick.
Yeah, I think it's a great. I've loved this for Dallas.
Yeah.
I really loved it.
I'm interested to see how his game translates into the next level. He's strong. He's a squatty guy, even though he's pretty tall. 6'5" is a good height for a guard. But will his punch be strong enough? Will his, you got to play games at that guard's position because you got some as y'all would say, war daddies across from him, and they'll be coming with some violent techniques and violent hands and most likely some very good feet. It'll be interesting to see how his game translates to the next level, because I would assume, based upon what they got going on in Dallas, he's going to probably be called upon to play immediately for this team. So,
look, offensive line has been their problem for a long time, right? And Zach Martin retired, right? So they got to get some stability in there if they want Dak to work out. And, so I love this pick. Look, they, like I said, they were flirting with like Walter Nolan. They had the second two receivers from Texas and Ohio State they were thinking about as well. They didn't think they thought that those couple tackles would be gone as well. So when you look at it, like who's the surest offensive lineman left, by far it's him.
Yeah.
I love this pick.
Yeah, and he's going to keep a firm pocket for Dak. Right. And I do see LaVar's point. If I do nitpick him, I do worry about his lateral recovery on stunts and games. But I think his upper body strength, I actually loved his punch. I love the way he just torqued guys to the ground. You do worry, again, like a little bit with the lateral agility recovery aspect of it. But this guy just brings the toughness and mentality, the exact toughness and mentality you're looking for.
I mean, you got to throw it out there, though. You got Dan Quinn, defensive guru-minded person. They're going to do what they're going to do schematically up front. You got the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know that there's a better defensive front out there. You got the Dallas Cowboys. They got a decent – well, excuse me. He is a Dallas Cowboy. You got the New York Giants is what I meant to say. And their defensive front, to me, it just got better. So I think the idea of it is that bringing him into that type of scenario, that would be my biggest concern. There'll be maybe one or two of the divisions that I would sit there and I'd say, you got to be concerned for a young guy coming in there at the offensive line's position. Yeah. I'd say the NFC East would be one of those divisions.
Miami, by the way, they're going to end up going defense.
He's getting thrown right into the fire in terms of Booker. I mean, you have to go against Jalen Carter. Dexter Lawrence is a whole different breed of animal. I mean, you're right.
There's some war daddies, as y'all would say out there.
So Miami Dolphins, they're next, and it's interesting because they're obviously been trying to talk to people about Jalen Ramsey, unloading him. And they've had talks with a couple of different teams. And I know defensively they need some help on that side of the ball. So you go, okay, do you go corner here to replace him? I don't think so, because you don't really have – there's nobody you go, man, we love this, right? Will Johnson, probably the most talented, but he hasn't run. He's banged up. He's injured. I think you look at it and go, man, who are these guys that can grow the most? I think Kenneth Grant is somebody that flew up draft boards this past week. And the more you hear from people out there, the more you love a guy like Kenneth Grant. But you still have a guy like Jalen Walker. I'd look at him as well. But, man, I think Kenneth Grant is a guy that he's really been zooming up.
And they have a need for a tight end as well. And Tyler Warren is still out there. So you're looking at guys like Jalen Walker.
I think they go defense.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they go defense.
Yep. I think you can't go wrong with Jalen Walker. And again, you can use him on the line as an edge. You can bring him off the ball as a backer. So it could be the idea that you go, what? I don't know. I'm trying to read your lips today. I really am trying to read your lips because I want to sound like I'm smart. But, on the defensive side of the ball, man, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good front seven guys up there.
Can't go wrong.
For me,
I wouldn't go corner. I'd go that front seven, but I think Grant ends up being the guy they like.
Grant.
For me, my top remaining guys, two of them are defense, Walker and Stewart from Texas A&M, and then Tyler Warren. Those are my top three remaining guys.
Well, I think it's important to just pause for a sec as we wait for this pick from Miami and just kind of recap where we're at, right? So much drama to get the night started. That huge blockbuster trade. The Browns traded that number 2 overall pick to the Jaguars. So let's just go through who we've got so far, guys. For Tennessee, for the Titans, they went with Cam Ward. Jaguars decided to go with Travis Hunter. The Giants, Abdul Carter. The Patriots made the decision to go with offensive tackle Will Campbell. The Browns, Mason Graham. Raiders, Ashton Janty. The Jets decided to pick Armand Membo. Panthers went with Teteroa McMillan. Saints, Calvin Banks Jr. Bears went with tight end Colston Loveland. 49ers, Mikael Williams. Dallas, Tyler Booker. And we are waiting for the pick to get in for Miami, and Jay's going defense.
I'm going defense, and I think Kenneth Grant, and then the Colts will be on the clock. And I know they were looking at tight ends. I think this is where your tight end, Warren, ends up going to the Colts. He drops down because they were looking at Loveland first. Everybody thought that Ty Warren would go first and Loveland would be second. And the Bears obviously shocked everybody, went the other way around it. I think the Colts are going to sit here and jump for joy that Ty Warren would be sitting there.
And I think Chris Ballard in his pre-draft presser said they're looking for a 3-down tight end.
Right.
And one just falls into your lap here. So, yeah, not a surprise.
Yeah, I think that's who these next two picks, I believe, will go. And just my talks with both these teams.
Do you like that pick, Kenneth Grant? Do you guys like that pick?
Dude, he went – the love for him this past week, like there are certain guys that start flying up that week of that board, and he did. I was told he was the dude in that D-line room, right?
Okay.
Wasn't
Leader.
Mason. He was the guy.
Okay.
And I'm told he's just going to get better, and he's a big dude
He is
who's
big
going
guy.
to learn on this level. And people were like, hey, this is like a Dexter Lawrence. This is what they view him as. But he really started to fly up within the last 5, 6, 7 days.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that, 4 or 5 days.
LaVar, watching him, he gave me Wilfork vibes because I think he can be a day one dominant run defender, dominant strength at the point of attack. And I don't think he's an elite pass rusher as an interior pass rusher, but I think he's an elite power rusher in terms of he's just going to be able – you get at a double eagle front, put him up against the fish if it's a center or a guard, and he can just mash the pocket into the quarterback.
He has the biggest smile. I asked Michigan head coach Ron Moore for a quote about him today, and he said, gentle giant, always got a smile, but when he crosses the line, he is a monster. And the pick is in for Miami.
With the 13th pick, the Miami Dolphins select Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle, Michigan, 6'4", 331 pounds.
I mean, he is an athlete. I mean, I am reminded he did run down K-Tron about 30 yards downfield. I mean, you don't see defensive tackles make plays downfield like that. So.
I had talked to Wink Martindale today about him too, and he's like, these teams who don't have him high up need to change what they're thinking. He's like, I love this kid. And again, he's like, Jay, he's going to get better. He's a big dude. He's like, he can actually get, his body can fill out even more. He just loved what this guy brings, but he's like in that room too. He loved what he was about. And again, that's the Miami Dolphins. I told you the Colts, man, they were kind of looking at Loveland, not thinking Ty Warren's going to be there. Now I'm told Ty Warren's there. I believe that's where the Colts end up going.
Yeah, a lot of O&D linemen here.
A lot of up front. You know what? It screams safe draft.
Yep.
It's screaming, I'm not in love with skill, so we're going to play it safe. That's what it screams to me. But I mean, listen, they're solid picks. I mean, I'm looking at, Kenneth Grant. I'm looking at his stat line. I'm looking at his highlights. Heck, I've had an opportunity to see him play firsthand because he's in the 10. I feel like these are safe picks, though. I feel like there could have been some shake-up picks that could have taken place. They haven't taken place, but safe picks nonetheless.
Sometimes safe, though, can be the difference maker
Sometimes
for
it
teams,
can be.
right?
I think these
Not
days
sexy
it's
picks.
better to be
Maybe
safer.
safe is always the
because
the
you
way.
don't know these guys. You can't push these guys' buttons in interviews anymore. You can't do these things to see who they really are. And I think sometimes safer is better. Today's player is different. Like I had said.
Yeah, can we talk about that?
Yeah, right. Like I said,
you had
there's-
posted that, Jay, that they're evaluating players also just on that love for football, but it's different in this NIL era.
Yeah, different now, right? Absolutely. Where it was talked about here and there about guys, but now it's like almost there's so many guys taken off the board all throughout the draft that doesn't love football. And, I say it, and we kind of say it as fighters sometimes. I think Mike Tyson said this. It's kind of hard to go after the title when your belly's full. Right.
Like
and
that.
it was something, I'm paraphrasing him, right? But it was about that, man. When you're starving, it's different. All of a sudden, your belly gets full. A lot of guys, you see it with champions, too. They become champions, and then they just kind of sit back and they lose that eye of the tiger, if you will. But that's where you just have a difference here with, a lot of these players. It's because of the NIL money, they're already taken care of. It used to be like, man, I got to go be great to get paid. Being famous is not the same as being great. Tell it to every guy who comes into my gym to train them
That's
in our
true.
MMA
It's
program.
very true.
Being famous ain't the same as being great, and y'all think it is, and it's not. LaVar, back in the day, The only way you're going to make get endorsements if you make a Pro Bowl.
That's right.
Right? That's it. And and I used to have all you guys, remember, call me. Did I make it? Did I make it? Did I make it?
Yeah.
I'd have Tony Gonzalez, Brian Urlacher, John Lynch straight. Did I make it? And I'm like, of course you guys made it. You guys were so concerned about making the Pro Bowl. Now it's just you don't have the same thing.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to live with those words. Being famous, not the same as being great. Let's see if the Colts make a great selection here. The pick's in.
With the 14th pick, the Indianapolis Colts select Tyler Warren, tight end, Penn State, 6'5.5", 256 pounds.
They are happy about this. Again,
LaVar.
talking to Chris Ballard the other day, man, he didn't think Tyler Warren was going to be there.
That's crazy.
Right.
Unbelievable
And
value
for him
here.
to sit
That's
there,
crazy to me.
he is a happy. We're actually texting right now.
What a great
And just about this because, again, he thought he was going to be gone top 10.
Kelsey, Kittle, this is the next iteration, 1.2.0, 3.0. That's the version of player that you're getting with Tyler Warren. So good for the Colts. Good for the Colts, man. I'm excited for Tyler Warren, but excited for the Colts too. And the Colts have always made it a deal to have a tight end. So, hey, maybe it works out for Tyler Warren as well.
By the way, real quick, if we can, Falcons on the clock. A year ago, we sat here and
Michael Penix.
But Raheem Morris told me Wednesday, and I'm like, come on. And then he said it again. Remember that? And I come in here, and then I text him early. I'm like, where you going here? He goes, I told you, Coach. We're going to the quarterback. I'm like, you were serious about that? And for LaVar, I'm like, because he jokes around so much. I'm like, come on.
And they did it.
They did it.
And he starts.
They definitely did it. We'll see how that one continues to pay off. Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio is brought to you by ShipStation. Calm the chaos with the shipping software that delivers. Use code SPORTS for a free trial at ShipStation.com. That's ShipStation.com, code SPORTS. throughout the first round of the draft. You can stream us live in the iHeartRadio app by searching Fox Sports Radio, and you can also watch us live on YouTube. Just search Fox Sports Radio right now on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button as well. Jenny Taft, Joe Douglas, LaVar Arrington, Jay Glazer, who just ran back in. He was on the phone. Jay, what do you got for us?
Just, again, the Houston Texans continue to try and trade up. But, again, the Atlanta Falcons, guys, we were talking about it right before, and I don't know if we announced it or not.
Not yet.
Okay, pick us in.
Pick us in. Let's go for it.
With the 15th pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Jalen Walker, edge, Georgia, 6'1", 243 pounds.
Money. And they needed that.
Right.
They needed pressure. That's what Atlanta needed. They needed pressure off the edge. They're going to get it now.
And think about who's there. You have Jeff Ulbrich, who you know well.
Yep.
Right. And Raheem Morris, thinking that, man, they can get nice and creative with him, but they need a guy like this on the defensive side of the ball. They had him up there. They didn't think he was going to be there. So they started saying, man, we think we can make some of these guys who may be off a lot of boards, like Pierce from Tennessee or Walter Nolan's on some, not on others. Like, hey, we can connect with them. It was almost like they were trying
Pierce is a sleeper, though. That is a sleeper.
He's off a lot of teams' boards.
But it's
a lot of boards.
It's the off-field stuff, right?
It's
More
a lot
so
of
than
boards, right?
Yeah.
But again, these two guys were like, hey, we could connect with guys. Mm-hmm. We know we're the ones who can turn them around. I think when Jalen Walker ends up sitting there, by the way, the Falcons were in big talks about moving back also. Like I said, the Texans are trying to move up. They've been trying to move up. But they were thinking, hey, do we move out? Because we have a bunch of these guys who we're comfortable with that a lot of other people may not be as comfortable with. But I think in the end, man, they look at it and go, hey, we know we're getting here. And we're getting, obviously, not just a culture builder and Jalen Walker in here, but we're getting a guy that they could use with such versatility. I love this pick for Atlanta.
Yeah, it's almost like Abdul in some ways. You can use him. You can use him as a linebacker, as an edge, all over the field. The thing, he may not have the athleticism that Abdul has, but he is an absolute hammer. His play strength is elite. He can set the edge. He can power through the edges of offensive tackles and pass rush. He's a great blitzer. He can play some linebacker for you. I love this pick. This is another red star, dark alley, foxhole dude.
Right. And him and Malachi Starks, those are the leaders over there on that Georgia defense with a team and a room full of dogs. When you have the big dogs, and that's who they are, and it stands out in a huge way of those two guys are the dudes. Amongst the dogs in here, that says an awful lot.
They've got a great culture that they've created at that position. I mean, you look at the guys that have been coming out the last few years, thinking about Nakobe Dean and all those, other Nolan Smiths. I mean, you got some guys that there's a standard that you're seeing that has been developed, and Jalen Walker falls right into that mold of guy that comes out of there. He is physical. He is athletic. You know, the one thing that jumped out about him to me, he won the Buckets Award, and I was a part of the presentation this year, the show. What a very, very well-spoken, very, very down-to-earth, intelligent, like listening to him while we were talking football, his IQ jumped off the chart with me. And just listening to his approach to the game, how he views, just in terms of going into it with his opponents, his attention to detail. It was really impressive being able to spend time with him and just knowing his work ethic and seeing his film, how he jumps off the film. He's a hustle guy, and that's what I really love about certain guys that play the game. He's definitely a 100% hustle guy.
Yeah, what you described, his football instincts, is no surprise his dad was a coach, right? Like
there you go.
He has that. He's a coach's kid.
Hey, Cardinals, what position do you like for the Cardinals?
Let's see here. I think D-line would be a good bet. Maybe interior D-line.
Yeah, they need help on that side of the ball.
That's how y'all feeling?
They've done a lot.
That's how I feel like that's how the draft has played out the last few picks.
They need it.
They go pass rush or interior? You like interior?
I think interior.
Okay. Who's your best interior left? Because they've got Grant. We've had both Michigan D tackles. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's the only two D tackles, right?
Yeah, those are the only two D tackles.
Who's your next?
I mean, there's some good players. There's some good players we haven't got to, may not get taken, but I mean, there's a lot of love for Walter Nolan, Ole Miss. He's a guy that's highly productive, can jump off the ball. disrupt, get in the backfield. So that's been a hot name in this.
I can get after that one. I can see that over here. And the thing with Walter Nolan again, certain teams have him off because, and not anything about him. He's always been such almost like a product of NIL. He's been so recruited and taken care of. Like, man, everyone has pumped him up everywhere he's gone. You get him on this level, with a guy like Jonathan Gannon, who can kind of get after him a little bit. This could be a good pick if that's where they go.
Yeah, JG will get the most out of him for sure.
So who you guys think is going to be?
He said Walter Nolan. I'm
Walter
going to
Nolan?
back that up. I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
Walter Nolan.
Then
I'm going to go with Walter Nolan, too. How about that?
I'm
like
there,
that one
too.
I feel like that's a safe one. You know what I mean?
I trust these experts
let's
around
do it.
me.
All right.
With the 16th pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Walter Nolan, defensive tackle, Mississippi, 6'4", 296 pounds.
It's nice when you guys know what's going to happen. I'm impressed. This seems like a great fit for Arizona.
Yeah, again, I think talent-wise, you're sitting. The one thing that everybody told me about Walter Nolan, it's like you're sitting there and you're like, okay, we want to see that, man, huge breakout with consistency. But it's almost like kind of hasn't had to, and it's not his fault. He's just always been so celebrated and pumped up wherever he's gone. I even had someone inside the room when Ole Miss got him there, and it was a crazy celebration.
Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
10 seconds.
Thanks for hanging with us. Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio. The pick is in for the Bengals.
With the 17th pick, the Cincinnati Bengals select Shamar Stewart, edge, Texas A&M, 6'5", 257 pounds.
You guys were all over this one.
So let me tell you my draft process beforehand. Every team I talk to, we go over, and we'll kind of almost do our own. What do you think's going to hear? I think this, I think this. Every team that I talked to all thought Shamar Stewart here with the Bengals. Like, it's perfect for them. It's what they need. I'm like, why does he only have 4.5 sacks? Oh, what's that? Because he looks the part, right, Joe? And like, he plays so hard that sometimes he just gets locked in with his one-on-ones instead of seeing everything else that goes on. So it's going to be interesting there. They made a change in defensive coordinator, but he certainly looks the part.
Oh, he looks the part. His athleticism is freaky. Like, he does everything that a top 5 pick would do except sack the quarterback. So there's a lot of questions in discussions about his overall football instincts, but man, does this guy play so hard. He's so fast. I mean, you see him chasing down screens, sideline to sideline. Again, has the athleticism of a linebacker. I mean, it's just, why does he only have such few sacks?
It's a good point, though.
Yeah, we saw Trayvon Walker go number 1, and he didn't have a bunch of sacks coming out of Georgia. So
that's kind of the way Georgia does it, right? Their scheme,
they rotate
Texas
so
A&M,
much.
right? You would think a little bit more, but I mean, there was a lot of love for him, without a doubt. And like I said, literally every team was like they had him pegged going there to Cincinnati.
He shows the measurables, and I think that's what's most important about it, right? He shows the burst off of the ball. He shows his ability to fight through the blockers. He can get off of the blocks. And just listening to what you're saying, Jay, in terms of the idea, maybe he gets locked in on the work that's in front of him. Maybe doesn't see the entire scope of what's going on, and maybe that's the reason why. Maybe he's forcing people, to go into other sack situations. There could be a lot of reasons, but his intangibles, as I've heard, I think he's a really, really high motor guy. And the fact of the matter is that you look at them losing Hubbard, so they're going to need that edge right away.
Wanted out. Right.
They don't know if Hendricks is coming back, but I would assume if Hendrickson's coming back,
right now he is,
then now you're going to have a guy that can probably take that rawness of what this young man is bringing to the table in Stewart and actually teach him the things and show him the way that would actually make him a more probably formidable defender, because that's going to be tough to do that in the AFC North. That's one of those divisions that you talk about. You can't just come in there half-stepping thinking that you're going to just get out there and you're going to have success. So it'll be interesting to see how he develops under, the tutelage of maybe Hendrickson in Cincinnati.
And guys, just next couple picks. Seattle Seahawks, they had just a handful of these first-round grades, and they've been on the phone seeing if they could trade out. And I was told if we don't, it'll be Gray Zabel, offensive lineman from North Dakota State, who, people love him a lot. I heard so much about him this last week. But yeah, this is a team. Again, the Seahawks only had a few who were up there, but he was that. I think he's the last. Well, there's a couple of those guys left, but they did have a priority on
What are the
offensive line.
Seahawks doing? Like, what are they doing this offseason? Like, do you guys feel good about what they're doing? It seems like
I think Geno they thought was
the
going to be an issue with re-signing. Geno didn't want to be there. Metcalf also, I think even
Tyler
during the
Lockett.
season, they thought about it. Okay, we're going to end up moving on from before the trade deadline, they thought about trading DK.
Wow.
I
mean, that's a big deal.
That is a big deal. But they've pretty much let their entire receiving, the nucleus of their entire offense, really.
They get Cooper Kupp. They're getting in Njigba from last year.
They still have
That's one of the
Njigba.
things they're like,
They still
hey, we
have
want
Njigba.
Cooper to come in and kind of teach him as well. So they're just redoing what that receiver
Do you think they
looks
take a receiver here? Do we
No,
finally
no,
get a
they're gonna go
skill
the
guy?
offensive lineman. They're going to go Gray
So
Zabel.
we're going to stay safe.
No.
We're staying safe.
And they
Is
have
that
one of the
theme
best
for
young
you,
backs
LaVar?
in the
Don't get too far away from shore, I guess. All right.
Well, guys, Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio is presented by Express Pros. Express Employment Professionals can provide contract workers to flex up for peak seasons without having to raise your core workforce headcount. Manage your workforce differently. Visit expresspros.com today. That's expresspros.com. And let's get right to it. The pick is in for Seattle.
With the 18th pick, the Seattle Seahawks select Gray Zabel, offensive lineman, North Dakota State, 6'6", 312 pounds.
Gray Zabel it is. You guys are all over it.
Again, that was one of the teams that just didn't have a lot of first-round grades. And he was in there, loved him. A lot of people loved Gray Zabel. They really did. He was a name that started really climbing in this last probably a little bit over a week.
Yeah, guilty as charged. I'm one of those guys that love Gray Zabel. And the thing is, he obviously played left tackle at North Dakota State. He's not going to play left tackle in the NFL. But what you worry about, smaller school, can he make that transition? He goes down the Senior Bowl. He plays tackle, guard, center.
Yes, he
I mean,
did.
this guy can play anywhere. So I'll be interested. Is Seattle going to use him as a guard? I mean, the card was turned in as guard, but he could play center. He could. To me, he is an old school dirtbag. Like he wants
love
to.
that.
He wants to
I
put
love
people,
that.
He wants to put people.
You call
on the
me an
ground.
old school dirtbag
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, super old school. So, but yeah, he wants to put people on the ground, man. He reminds me, just watching tape, he kind of reminds me of guys like Logan Mankins and Marshall Yonda. He's just got that blue collar nasty vibe to him.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about what he was able to do in the Senior Bowl. It's one thing, look, Dakota has, I mean, they certainly have the resume of putting guys into the league and they becoming quality guys in the league. But it was his performances at the Senior Bowl that I believe opened up a lot of people's eyes. He had a good showing at the Combine. And so looking at what he brings to the table, I mean, need I say, another safe pick.
Well, safe, but he was so crucial for North Dakota State. I mean, they had an outstanding year, and I think that versatility can be crucial. So right now we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the clock as we wait for that one. And
I talked to their GM, Jason Light, last weekend too. They were just going to sit there and go, we could just wait. Best available player who's over there. We don't need to reach for anything. We could possibly trade back. They really liked where they were. And we're like, we think this is where you want to be in this draft. You want to be down here in 19. You don't want to be up there in the top 10. Yeah.
One thing I do want to bring up, guys, that we've kind of been watching part of the broadcast, Shedeur, right? Mm-hmm. He was a big question mark going into this one. Shedeur Sanders, where will he go? Will he go in the first round? He has been shown on camera plenty. Do you guys have any opinions on where he'll land, and will it be in this first round?
By the way, I did talk to Shedeur today. I'm like, dude, make sure you're not the misery shot. He was like, I won't be on camera. He's been on camera the whole time.
Hey, I would have taken your advice.
I've known him forever. Like, his family. Dion helped change my life years ago. As a brother to me. Him and Ronnie Lott actually helped change my life in my career. So I love him forever. And yeah, that was the whole thing though. I'm like, hey dude, I don't care where you are, just don't be that misery shot if you drop. And that's been I've talked to a lot of these guys about this. I'll never forget Brady Quinn. The whole day during the draft, I'm like texting him, I'm like, dude, stop being the misery shot. Get everybody away from you. And man, you just don't want to be that. I think Shedeur's kind of handled it well over here. But that was my advice to him today.
I'm going to remind Brady this morning, coming up.
I don't think you need to.
You
I'm
can.
going to remind him of the misery shot.
And by the way,
I took a little shot at him today, too, though, because we were talking about draft experiences, and he was like, I was a little stretched. He was like, why were you stretched? You should. I said, well, I wasn't in the same position you were in when we were getting drafted. I was negotiating my contract, and you were not. It was a slight flex. That's all. It was a slight flex, but
Joe,
he thought he was going 3, and didn't obviously.
Yeah, they were negotiating.
Do you? Where do you see Shedeur? Where do you see a good fit for him?
Yeah, look, I first of all, Shedeur is my number 2 quarterback behind Cam. I think there's some things he does better than Cam. Actually, I think he gets the ball out on time. I think he's. And in terms of accuracy, he's always been a 70% plus completion guy. So the talent is there. So really, it's just the team fit. So you're looking at teams that maybe have already picked in the top 5 or 10 that maybe want to trade up and get their quarterback of the future. So looking at those teams.
I feel like the criticism that Shedeur has received at times has been a little aggressive. I enjoyed being around him. I enjoyed covering Prime. I feel like if anyone can handle the pressure, it's Shedeur, who's lived it his whole life. So it'll be very unique to see
But,
if.
but it's interesting. I'm sorry, Jenny, to do
Yeah.
that. But it's interesting also. And it's one of the things he and I said it to him. Like everything in his life has been kind of, hey, recruited around him. And that's not going to be the NFL, right? And there's even like, hey, you're going to be with people that you don't like. It's going to be different, right? You're going to have to kind of learn about that of,
There we go
a whole different, a whole different world that's going to be around you. I think it's going to be great for him. I think it'll be great growth for him because he's never had to do it.
I think that's great advice. And hopefully, Jay, he'll keep taking those calls about staying off camera a little bit.
Because they keep popping him up there. You got to
There's
believe,
like 9
though,
cameras there. What are you talking about?
if the Steelers don't do it, which by all indications of Jay Glazer, it doesn't seem like that's going to be what it is, then, I mean, you got to believe, unless somebody trades up into it, which why would they, at this point, why would they trade
I
up?
think most teams are going back, actually have him and Jackson Dart around the same.
Mm-hmm. There's a possibility Dart goes before. I'm hearing
sure.
Dart's going to go before Shedeur
But it's
Sanders,
just
or the word I've gotten.
But it's kind of what's your flavor? You know what I mean, which one you want. So again, they're kind of right there together. From what I was told from every team, they're just both there together at him and Jackson Dart.
And do you want to handle everything that comes with Shedeur? And that's positive, and at times it is a lot, right? I mean, we see Coach Prime, and like Jay pointed out, I've loved spending time with Prime and Dion, and I've loved what he's done with the program at Colorado. But there is a lot that comes with the name, so we'll have to see how that one plays out. We are waiting to see what the Buccaneers decide to do with their pick. Guys, do you have any last second thoughts before the pick is in on where they'll go?
They're going receiver.
There you go, baby.
Yes!
There you go.
Woo!
All right.
LaVar's been
And
waiting
this
for
week you'll
that.
see a couple of these receivers start going. Right,
Who
Ohio
going
State,
with?
Golden,
Dion
right. So
heavy.
you'll see Ohio State go here. Amiku
Buka.
Ibuka.
I was about
You'll
to
see
ask,
Golden
are they
go
gonna go
next. I
Buka?
would think after that.
Safe.
And I think you'll start seeing a couple of these receivers here.
Well, at
and
least he's
a lot
a
of these running
skill
backs are.
safe.
And then I think you'll see maybe 3 of these running backs go. Maybe not 3, but you'll see a couple of these running backs start to go here a little bit also.
Let's take a listen.
With the 19th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver, Ohio State, 6'1", 202 pounds.
Emeka Ibuka. I can honestly say, guys, I interviewed him more than anyone at this draft.
He is so loved.
So loved
Yes.
and so respected
Yeah.
and respectful and great family and just everything about him. Came back for a reason, wins the national championship. Just the mentoring. I can't say enough about Emeka,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to see what he does in the league.
Oh, my God. Every team you talk to, I always ask teams, who are the worst cats? You're like, not a shot. And who are the guys like, man, I would love this kid, part of my family, in my football team. He'll be around forever. He was one of the guys that everybody brought up. Just loved his makeup, who he is as a dude. The fact that also he went back for Ohio State, but also another receiver there to make sure he had some lineage there, right?
He did. He was a mentor for Jeremiah.
Exactly.
Jeremiah Smith.
It's just different. So I think a guy here, when I talk to teams, like he's a number 2 receiver, but he'll be a great Pro Bowl 2 receiver for years and years.
He gives me Amon-Ra vibes. Yeah? Come on, go ahead,
Okay.
Go ahead, talk about
Absolutely,
it.
that's exactly what I said.
ahead.
Really?
I said this guy at the end of my report. I said this guy. He may not be the sexiest wide receiver in the league, but he's going to help you win games. He's going to do a lot of dirty work. He's going to make big plays. And I said Amon-Ra, just like LaVar said, Doug Baldwin, just a dude that's just going to get it done.
Maybe not a number 1, but a very, very nice utility guy. I mean, obviously you have some aging guys in Godwin and then Mike Evans. It looks as though he would be a great fit to put into those slot situations, to run those crossing patterns, to run those intermediate to low patterns for the quarterback, for Baker. I think it's a nice pick. I think that really rounds out that receiving core while they're aging. So now you're putting them in position where he'll most likely take over one of the positions of a Godwin or a Mike Evans.
I can't say enough about what Brian Hartline has done, too, with the receivers
No
from
doubt.
Ohio
Great
State.
coach.
And
No doubt.
that's a great way to just feel good about a receiver you're getting in that room. Well, Fox Sports Radio's Draft Night Live, it's brought to you by Dollar Shave Club, your place to get everything you need to stay smooth and smell great. Visit dollarshaveclub.com/draft and use promo code DRAFT for 20% off your order of $20 or more, plus free shipping. That's dollarshaveclub.com/draft. Denver Broncos on the clock. We'll be right back.
They're really trying to get out.
know about you guys. The night flying by to me. I've loved sitting and learning from the best of the best. We're going to jump right to it. Pick is in for the Denver Broncos.
With the 20th pick, the Denver Broncos select Jahdae Barron, cornerback, Texas, 5'11", 194 pounds.
So I'll tell you this, guys, about the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton gets neurotic about the draft, and we've talked a billion times the last couple of days. And the whole time, I'm getting out. Last year, he was set on Bo Nix by the combine. Like he was set.
He was.
I remember you said that.
Set, absolutely set, right? And he at one point last year, he's like, man, the Saints are trying to move up for Bo Nix. I mean, not Saints, the Rams. I'm like, and I knew they weren't. I knew that Sean McVay didn't even look at quarterbacks. So at one point, I called Sean McVay. I said, hey, dude, this dude is trying to trade up for a quarterback, thinking you're trying to trade up for a quarterback. Can I tell him and get him off the hook? And Sean McVay says, make him wait 2 days, and then you can. So I think he made me wait till Wednesday afternoon. But then I told Sean Payton, I'm like, dude, they're not doing it. They're not going here. And
have you ever got burnt doing that?
No. And he was very, very, very neurotic about it. But this year, the point is, we're talking about these guys, and he's like, man, I really, really, really want to get out. He liked Grant, defensive lineman from Michigan. He liked J.D. Barron, a couple of these corners. He loved McMillan. He liked Golden and the Ohio State receiver. But he was like, he really was intent on getting out.
I think a lot of teams are trying to get out, but they're not finding a partner, a dance partner.
Nowhere to go.
But
yeah, that's what's happening.
I like
again,
Barron.
he's going J.D. Barron. And guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers are after that. And I told you that they're not going to go Shador.
I mean, that's the slide. That's the drop off. That's the fall over the waterfall right there.
But it's funny. They
Steelers
did. I
go
talked
by.
to people in their building that's just like, hey, we like the smoke screen.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to go with.
Can you
were
clear?
so
Why wouldn't they?
Can you
know?
clear this one up, Jay?
Mm-hmm.
Is there the chance that Aaron Rodgers is waiting to see if they were to take a quarterback?
No,
with this
has nothing
pick?
to do with it.
Has nothing.
Actually,
to do
what
with
Aaron
it.
said, right, about him going through personal stuff and all that, that's
actually
legit.
true.
And he's told it to the Steelers. That's all true. And he's like, I don't need to put my personal business out there, but he does have some things he's got to take care of that. And I'm pulling for him in that. There's some legit things that he doesn't want. And like, good on him, too, that he's like, I don't need to let the world know what I'm doing here, but he wants to make sure he's committed. So, no, one has absolutely nothing to do with the other.
All right.
Thank you for
I'm glad you
clearing
cleared that up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was curious. It's hard because everyone speculates in this
I'm
world
one
of
of 'em.
social media.
I was speculating.
Well, and
maybe he's waiting to see if they
rumors.
take a quarterback
Sure.
with their first round draft pick because, I mean, ultimately that does play a part. I mean, look at what just happened to Kirk Cousins, right? Kirk Cousins gets pulled over, and then they draft a guy and then he's not starting anymore. So it does happen. So, it's.
Well, it's a
Worth
great
asking.
point. And on that note, let's find out who the Steelers decide to go with here.
With the 21st pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Derek Harmon, defensive tackle, Oregon, 6'4.5", 313 pounds.
Joe, what do you like about this guy?
This is one of the more disruptive interior presence in the draft. I mean, he can get off the ball, disrupt. He gets in the backfield all the time. I think he was one of the leaders in the country in pressures. So a big man, powerful hands. I think he can wreck some games inside for you, and he can bring some interior pass rush. There's a little bit of stiffness in his lower body. His redirect isn't great, but he can get upfield in an upfield pass rush, and he's going to get after the quarterback.
And he's able to he's also one of those guys that is able to get into his gaps. To me, what's most important, depending on what type of an interior lineman you are, is that lateral movement. Can you beat that cross block, or are they going to be able to seal you off? And and I know, if you're able to seal off an interior lineman, the rest is history because you're going to get Derrick Henry getting downfield. You're going to get guys that can run that ball getting downhill because you're not making the ball spill all the way outside of the line. So I've watched him play. He is not only disruptive, but going into the 10, coming out of the pack, a lot of people question, would they have the physicality to be able to make the transition. Not only did they make the transition, but they won the Big Ten. This young man, Derek Harmon, was a major part of the reason why up front they were so stout and sturdy, that it gave the speed that they brought to the table, it gave that the opportunity to shine through. So I thought he was the catalyst of this defense this past season.
100%.
And to see the way he is able to maintain with double teams and is able to move laterally to get to the gap he's supposed to, which now teams are two gapping. So if they do get ahead of you, they're telling the linebackers to read over top of that tackle and get into that gap. But I like the way this young man plays the game, physical, gets to his gaps, pushes upfield, doesn't get blown off the ball. You don't see him getting blown off the ball often. So this definitely fits the character and characteristics of what you want up front as a defensive tackle. And that, they run 3D linemen in that defensive front in Pittsburgh. So I think he's a great fit for them.
And look, I think it gets it starts getting also a little thinner here, offensive line, defensive line. So you kind of look at more short things, if you will, right? You still got 3 running backs that guys really love. You have safeties, 2 safeties that teams love. Malachi Starks, we brought him up, right? That absolutely love. You have Golden, receiver from Texas, right? You have Mason Taylor. So there's certain teams that still love. Now, I will say this. We're going, okay, what about Shedeur? What's going to happen? So I know there are teams that are trying to move back in, but I don't know if it's for him or Jackson Dart.
Okay.
Again, people kind of have them both the same. So Jackson Dart was right there with him. And there were teams I know, a couple of these teams were like, yeah, if we try and move back would probably be from Jackson.
I've heard Dart.
Right? It'll be for Jackson, not Shedeur. I've had another team go, no, we'd go Shedeur over or Jackson Dart. It's whoever really can make a move.
Well, the LA Chargers right now on the clock, 11-6 record last year, second in the AFC West. Is there a direction they need to go? Yeah, no. Is there a direction they need to go? What stands out, Joe? Do you have anything on your mind for the Chargers?
Look, I think the Chargers could go in a lot of different directions. They could go running back. They could go offensive line, interior offensive line specifically, edge rush. I think there's a few different – I think they would honestly be looking to trade back here too. And if you're one of those teams like – it's going to be at the top of the second round and looking for a quarterback, the Giants, the Browns, like this is around the time that you're going to want to try to make a move to go up and get that quarterback. We're getting into the 20s, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this pick.
You hate to say it in a way where it comes off the wrong way, but there's such a drop-off at this point on prospects. So now when you're looking at a team like Harbaugh, you talk about neurotic. Harbaugh is one of those type of guys as well. He's very, very focused in and dialed in on exactly the type of player that he wants to bring into the culture of the team and the fabric, fitting into the fabric of his team. And that's usually going to be a lineman, or it's going to be some type of a running back, because he starts with physicality first. I would assume you look at it, they might go with an edge rusher. They just let Bosa go. So he's no longer a part of the team. So they might look at it from the standpoint of there are so and we brought up Pierce, and I know he dropped off a lot of boards, but a guy like that would maybe possibly be the type of guy that they look at and they say, while he does have some of those things that you're concerned about off the field, maybe if you love him up, they got guys like Navarro Bowman on the staff, guys that can relate to the players that they bring in. Just maybe they bring in an edge rusher to the fold and what they have going on. And I don't see Pierce being a problem.
You also have some guys that have injury concerns that if they didn't, you're talking top 10 picks. It's not even close. Like so Will Johnson. Right? Mm-hmm. And he's got a lot of injury concerns. Hasn't run at all. A guy like that, he would never get out of the top 10. The inside linebacker,
Jahad Campbell.
Yeah,
right. He has 2 shoulders, 2 knees, but that's a guy you're like, man, this guy, that's top 5 talent, right?
He's unbelievable,
incredible,
He's
right?
like a predator out there. I mean, he just hunts. I mean, it's fun watching him play linebacker.
So, Joe, how do you evaluate that? And I know injuries are so specific to each player, right? But a guy like Will Johnson, who just his talent is so clear, but it was something he battled with all last season. How do you kind of weigh the pros and cons of risking that? How do you talk to people to make sure it's the right choice?
Every team has a medical meeting. Every team sits down with the doctors and the trainers, and they'll basically give you a score for a player. and that score has to match up with. A lot of times the doctors will say, well, this might just only be a one-contract player based on the conditions he has. So then you have to factor in all that information, especially when you're talking about a first-round pick. So depending on the severity of some of the conditions that a player may have, it's definitely going to affect your decision on whether you're going to take someone here in the 20s.
And again, I'm told there are at least one team I know of saying they're trying to trade back in for Jackson Dart.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and look, you said to me 20 minutes ago, half hour ago, you thought they're going to end up going Chargers. What'd you tell me? Half hour ago.
Hampton.
Yeah.
I think that's a possibility. Just, like
The
you said
running
earlier,
back.
LaVar,
Mhm.
the physicality.
The running back.
There is an identity with a Jim Harbaugh coach team. Physical. And so I would not be surprised about a downhill running back like Hampton.
With Hampton?
At all.
Yeah.
And I have to say, you can't take the Michigan out of Coach Harbaugh. The other two running backs, Ohio State guys, that's hard for him. Let's be honest. Maybe he can put it aside in his later life. But I had that thought, like, could he actually do that? But we'll see if they decide to go with the running back.
I had a team in the 20s tell me that they this week wanted to trade up for either McMillan or Hampton, and it's funny what happens because Sunday is totally different than Thursday. Sunday, they're like, man, we're going to go up and we're good to go up to 8 or 10 for one of these guys. And then when I talked to the same guy yesterday, he's like, now we're going to sit tight. We're going to try and go the other way. Then when I talked to him today, he's like, no, we're going to go up for just the receiver, not the running back. Right? It's incredible how much that changes. And you could talk about that of kind of the hour by hour sway of emotions when you get convicted and all of a sudden, like, what happens that you don't get convicted? You just come to your senses, or does somebody talk you out of it? Or
well, you're trying to have all those conversations way ahead of time and get as much information as you can, so you're not having the sways back and forth last minute. You want to have this thing locked in, unless you get some kind of crazy new information that you weren't expecting. So, I mean, that's the goal, is to just go in this day and you've got it. You know exactly the road you're going to follow. You know exactly the player that you're gonna target and hopefully get. So we'll see who the Chargers are gonna take here. Looks like
you knew who they're going to take 30 minutes ago. That's what you told me 30 minutes ago.
Amari
Yeah,
Hampton.
Let's
you
see
told me
if this
30
guy
minutes
was
ago.
right. The pick is in.
Wow.
not a surprise.
With the 22nd pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select Omarion Hampton, running back, North Carolina, 6 foot, 221 pounds.
So maybe we could break down what specifically about Hampton stands out over a Travion Henderson, over a Quinshon Judkins. What about his play, Joe, his game stands out to you?
Look, I think there's a little Joe Mixon to his game.
Mixon.
I think he is smooth and he is a hammer. I think Joe might have a little bit better stop-start, but, I mean, you're talking about a downhill back. I mean, this guy, he runs with violence. He runs with anger. He can power through tacklers. I think he's not an ultra-elusive runner in the open field. I think a guy like Travion Henderson is a slasher and a guy that can make you miss. This guy's just going to run through you, and this is a mentality back. And now you got him paired with Najee Harris. You've got two downhill power backs that are going to run power all the time.
He gives me Jonathan Taylor vibes, and they threw the comp up there. He definitely gives me Jonathan Taylor vibes, and even not as shifty, but running technique, the way his legs move and the way he kind of holds his body, it gives me Le'Veon Bell. He has like a Big Ten type of running style, and I think that will equate well. Go figure, right? Big Ten running style type of back going to a Big Ten style coach to the Chargers. So it makes sense. It's a pick that makes a lot of sense.
You know, when I had talked another coach who was saying, man, I love this guy. Love him. I said, would you take him? He says, 2 seconds. I said, you have a running back you already love. He goes, I do, but my guy doesn't hit home runs like this.
The home run hitter.
Right?
I love that. So true. Guys, Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio is brought to you by ShipStation. Calm the chaos with the shipping software that delivers. Use code SPORTS for a free trial at ShipStation.com. That's ShipStation.com, code SPORTS. Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio. We'll be right back. The Packers are on the clock.
But man,
That's been good. It's been
absolutely.
Welcome back. Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio. We've lost Jay Glazer, which means he's on the phone, getting it done
That's
with all the
exactly
info.
what it means.
It's been fun, guys. Have any big surprises for you so far? Any highlights? I know LaVar's been saying all along,
Just
safe. But safe.
I'm loving, as a former O-lineman, I'm loving all these O&D lineman
Yeah,
picks.
don't be tough on the safe choices.
Safe.
Well,
But safe. But last year's Super Bowl champion, the Eagles, O&D line.
Up front.
It all starts up
100%.
You know, and I think you've seen that play out here.
100%.
Joe, how have you enjoyed this side of the thing? Because you've been a part of that war room so many times, and seeing it from this side, what's it been like for you?
Yeah, well, it's been cool telling some stories, giving you guys a little insight about what happens behind the curtains in the war room, but also it's just fun talking about these players and having an opportunity to watch all these guys and write the reports and share my opinions with you guys and everybody that's listening. It's been really fun.
Johnny Taft, Jay Glazer is somewhere in the building on the phone. LaVar Arrington, Joe Douglas. We're waiting on the Packers selection as well. Any direction that you think they need to go?
I wonder if it's Will Johnson. You know, number 2. They got history with a number 2 from Michigan by the name of Charles Woodson. Yeah. So, you know, I don't know. They could use a cornerback. They also could use a receiver as well. I mean, they could use an edge. And they could use an O-lineman. So who knows? Maybe they go offensive line. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they go O-line.
The only thing that would surprise me if they took a tight end, because they've taken a lot of tight ends recently. But you're right. I think it could go a number of different ways. O-line, wide receiver, guy like Luther Burden still out there. There's another running back. I mean, I still think the 2 Ohio State running backs are 2 of the best players in this draft. And they bring – dynamic skill set in different ways.
Yes.
You know, downhill physical runner with Judkins, and then the slasher, the multi-dimensional slasher in Travion Henderson. So it's going to be an interesting.
One of my favorite stories from just those 2 running backs, when Quinshawn Judkins made the decision to go to Ohio State, the first person he called was Travion. So the way they were able to do it together, I think their numbers are unique in the fact that, in the fact that they really were a team. And that dynamic is fascinating, that they were better together. So both talented, both different but talented. And I am curious to see where those running backs go. But first, it's time to get to what the Packers are deciding to do with their pick.
With the 23rd pick, the Green Bay Packers select Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas, 5'11", 191 pounds.
Matthew Golden from Texas.
Well, now they've added another receiver where you'd say, hey, the debate continues on. Who's our number 1?
Yeah.
I mean, they brought in Hartman this offseason. You know, Christian Watson is on the men's. Yeah, you know, you just asked the question and seeing this team, who do they have a true number 1? Now, what I will say is, Matthew LaFleur has been so masterful in how they have managed this offense, and Love has continued to improve. So you're seeing an offense that doesn't show maybe somewhat the cracks of not having a true established playmaker, because that's what you call your number 1, right? Your number 1 is who you say, this is the guy we need to play. We go to him, we get a play. I still don't think with this pick you address that need. So you've used a first-round pick on what with this receiver? That's what I would ask.
You can hang your hat on one thing with this receiver, and that is electric speed. I mean, he can get behind defenses consistently. I thought he did that early and often at Texas. He's a vertical threat, a vertical weapon. And you can and LaFleur's going to scheme him up on deep crossers, over routes. So he's a guy that's definitely going to threaten the defense. And they got 2 of them now. With Watson can do that, and he's a little bit bigger than Golden. But you got 2 vertical threats, and then it's going to open it up for the inside for your tight ends and running backs in the pass game as well.
Let me tell you what's going on right now also, guys. And,
What's up?
You know, Minnesota Vikings, who I believe are next, right?
Yes, they're next.
They've been trying to work a trade. The Giants have talked to them. Kansas City's talked to them. Atlanta's talked to them. I'm told if they end up staying, they'll go offensive lineman. And Donovan Jackson's the guy they like. But they're still trying to work this trade out with any one of these 3 teams, and I think that's what's happening now. You'll see a couple of these teams who are sitting back there. The Atlanta one's a little surprising to me, but Kansas City, trying to move up for somebody. Not that both running backs are gone. Or I love what Brett Veach does over there, but also a team like the Giants saying, okay, could we go back in and get a quarterback? Could maybe the Saints, could we go back in and get a quarterback?
We'll see what happens, but I'll say this. Matthew Golden, electric, I get it. I'm still left scratching my head on it. I think
they need help at receiver, though, and Golden's a guy who he went there to be maybe a number, just kind of a part-time almost, right? And you're right, he took over. He became the guy over there. He was supposed to be a 3, and he became a 1, and that's somebody who a lot of teams really started liking here.
Can he, at his size, can he gain that one? Because
they need help at that position. They need help at that position.
Truth.
They really need help at that position. And everybody loves the makeup of this cat. Loved him.
But
absolutely loved him.
You feel better about them going with a receiver when they need help with their edges too. Like Rashard Gary could use.
I think they need receiver help more than anything.
More than anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they need receiver help without a doubt.
More weapons for your quarterback that's already in his prime. So load up on weapons. And, look, I think Matthew needs to refine some of his route running skills, just like any rookie that comes into the league. But, again, you can hang your hat on the speed.
Okay.
Speed is there.
I'll take
Can't
y'all's
deny
word
it.
for it.
Next up, Minnesota. Jay's been all over it. On the clock. You know how I feel about my Minnesota Vikings. I can call them that. Why not?
Sure.
Again, the Giants are trying to trade up here. And if they trade up,
it's going to be Dart.
It's going to be for Jackson Dart. It's not going to be for Shedeur Sanders.
We'll see.
Wow. So if they take a quarterback, then what does that mean for
But it's
JJ
not
McCarthy?
again, the Vikings couldn't get something worked out. I think I know that they like the offensive lineman from Ohio State.
Who's trying to trade up to get Dart?
The Giants.
The Giants.
The Giants trying to trade for Dart.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Have they given any indication about Dart and specifically why they like him more?
Again, I think it was everybody was kind of like they had, and I think some of it's like, man, some of the circus that comes along with Shedeur, which doesn't with Dart. Other teams like, no, we're good because we think he can thrive in big situations. We're fine with that. But when I talk to people in the Giants, Dart was the guy. It was always Carter. They were never sitting there going, hey, we're going to go quarterback early on. And they said if they sit tight, I think they were going to look at a running back. But if they move up, they're like, yeah, Dart will be the guy. It's not going to be Shedeur. I've always thought that Dart would be the second quarterback in this draft. And when I was asked today, I said, I think only 2 go in the first. If a team trades back up for Jackson Dart.
Well, we're about to find out.
So, guys, the Giants have traded with the Texans.
They did trade.
They are moving up with the Texans. They will end up taking Jackson Dart.
Minnesota goes with, we're about to find out.
Pick is in for the Vikings.
With the 24th pick, the Minnesota Vikings select Donovan Jackson, interior offensive lineman, Ohio State, 6'4", 315 pounds.
I've heard from some people.
So a little breaking news. Again, the New York Giants are going to trade up with the Houston Texans, and I'm told it is for Jackson Dart.
He's one. He could be one on some people's boards, Donovan Jackson, as an offensive lineman.
I love Donovan Jackson because
I've heard a lot of
what the Vikings loved about him is that
him.
he was a phenomenal guard, but also when he kicked out a tackle, there was no drop off. But again, I want to get back to this, gang, because this is big news.
Come on, let's
the New
talk
York
about
Giants are trading up with the Houston Texans. I'm told it's going to be for Jackson Dart. That is huge. The Giants, all along they were pegged at maybe number 3 at Shedeur Sanders. They did a great job of smoke screening everybody. I was told a couple days ago if they move back in, it'll be for Dart, wouldn't be for Shedeur Sanders. So they'll come away with what they think will be their franchise quarterback. People love the dude quality of Jackson Dart. And I think it's quarterback just to be one of the top things you have.
We talked about this earlier in the afternoon, but the Giants were obviously afraid that the Rams were going to take a quarterback. To jump right in front of
not at all.
That's the,
so by the
that's
way,
the
by
only,
the way,
that's
the
the
Rams,
only reason.
No. They were trying to get up. They were talking to Minnesota. They were talking to a bunch of teams. No, the Rams they didn't look at a quarterback. You and I
I'm not saying we thought the Rams were going to take it, but the Giants must have thought that.
I think the Giants have been probably even talking before Minnesota. I just only found out about it at Minnesota. But I knew all along that they were talking about moving back up. But no, the Rams didn't really scout quarterbacks. But people were set that they were going to take quarterback.
That's so wild that they would go to Shedeur Sanders coverage-wise first now that this trade has taken place, knowing that now they've gone to Jackson Dart. But it's interesting to know that we're sitting here knowing the outcome before it happens.
I'm looking forward to see what they gave up because I just want to analyze that.
Yeah.
And the fact I don't want to gloss over and take this away from LaVar, but Donovan Jackson, another safe pick.
It's a safe pick.
No,
Safe
he's not
pick.
safe.
He's a good,
Some people had him their number 1 rated offensive lineman on their board, and I know that
blocking for the Michigan quarterback.
I know that for a fact.
His leadership on display. Well, throughout the first round of the draft, you can stream us
And
live.
the Rams are trying to
in
trade
the
out now as we speak.
Radio app. Rams right now too.
They are trying to trade out as we speak.
Wow.
Jay's always got it. All right, so make sure you're listening to us, iHeartRadio app, by searching
Jackson
Fox
Dart,
Sports
go to the
Radio.
Giants.
Jay's saying Jackson Dart to the Giants. You can also watch us on YouTube. Just search Fox Sports Radio right now on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Jay Glazer with the latest coming your way next.
Bam. I'm going to go at it.
Draft Night Live. I just got excited.
That's all right.
Draft Night Live. I got excited because Jay knew this was going to happen. With the Giants, the pick is in. Let's see who the Giants are going with.
With the 25th pick, the New York Giants select Jackson Dart, quarterback, Mississippi, 6'2", 223 pounds.
Again, we told you that was going to happen. And then as we were saying that, guys, the Rams, I got text that, hey, we're trading the pick out to Atlanta. And then I started asking, man, who's Atlanta going with? And they were going, Pierce, who was the other guy. I remember originally when we were talking about this, we said, man, they're the one team that I had with Pierce on the board, certainly in the first round, but they connected with him. But they had Jalen Walker, they had Walter Nolan. So they ended up giving up a first rounder, is what I was told, to move up to the Rams to get Pierce from Tennessee.
Jeez.
And again, they are getting, first round pick in 2026. They're getting a 2026 first round pick and a second round pick this year. They're going down to 46. So, man, but again, getting a first rounder for Pierce is like, wow. Look, the Jackson Dart thing, guys, again, we were talking about if the Giants are going to move up, it was going to be for him. If the Saints were going to move up, it was going to be for him. So good on the Giants to kind of go get, hey, we need a quarterback. That was a good job there by Joe Shane. This one right here for the Falcons, because so many teams had Pierce off the board, I guess Atlanta was picking so far down, they didn't think they were getting in the shot. But when I talked to Raheem Morris today about it, who we found out last year doesn't know me, he was like, look, we connected with him. I know other people may have their things, but we connected with him where I think other people won't. So one thing you know about Rye, he wants pass rushers. He got two today. There's no doubting Pierce and his talent. No doubting that whatsoever.
None.
Right?
None. He is explosive. You know what's really impressive about Pierce is, all these college offenses run the RPO with these athletic quarterbacks, and Pierce hawks guys down. He's got great eyes for that. He's an explosive pass rusher. But I think this is a situation, like, Jay, you're talking to Raheem today, and he obviously Walker and Pierce sound like they were obviously in their top 10.
They were,
and
so those two guys, Walter Nolan,
both of them. And so I'm sure they were at the point where let's go get both of them, because I mean, I can remember back in 2022 after we took Sauce and we took Garrett, and we said, hey, Jermaine Johnson, he's our 9th rated player. Let's go up and get him. And so we went to 26 and did it. So this is a little similar to that, except they're just doubling up with pass rush.
I love his game. I mean, he's explosive.
There's nothing not to like about his game.
He's rubbery. I call him, he's one of them rubbery type of pass rushers where you think you're getting good punches on him, you think you're going to slow him down in some way, somehow his body moves and it adapts to your hands and it adjusts to your hands, and he's still moving upfield. And now all of a sudden I thought I was doing well against him, and you gave up a sack and you didn't know how it happened. That's what this kid Pierce brings to the table. Playmaking ability, and I mean, to add him to the list with Jalen Walker going to Atlanta, their pass rush, which was sorely missing this past season, obviously, now gets a whole lot of what they call that, nitro. Yeah, hit that nitro button. You got to ride it out until it gets all the way out of there.
Well, it is official for Pierce. The pick is in for the Falcons.
With the 26th pick, the Atlanta Falcons select James Pierce Jr., edge, Tennessee, 6'5", 245 pounds.
Two guys that instant nitro.
Oh,
like you
man.
said, are two guys that bring that.
And he's light. He's a lighter. He's that.
But he can put his hand on the ground still.
It's that new age DN. Yep. He's lighter. In my day, it was the Leonard Littles, out of Tennessee. That was they've made it a point to be able to have those long, stretchy, wiry defensive ends. Pierce fits right into that lineage, and I'll tell you what, outside of any off-field type of concerns, if that isn't
that's
there,
a top 5 talent.
Come on, man. If that isn't there, this kid goes so much higher than what he did. So talk about the value proposition that Atlanta has just got a hold of in this draft altogether so far.
And there are certain guys who think, like, look, Mike Tomlin, right? Yeah, I can fix anybody. Raheem Morris thinks I can fix anybody. I think Andy Reid thinks I can fix a lot of people. There's certain teams that can say, hey, you bring him here, he'll be fine here. He'll be fine under us. Maybe not someone else, but he'll be fine here in our culture and who we are.
I'm sure there's that. And then Raheem and Terry might be thinking, well, we just took this guy from Georgia that is a dude.
Outstanding.
And let's
right.
pair him, and he'll take him under his wing. So
but I think Raheem looks at like he and
He's
Jeff
one
Ulbrich
of,
could connect with anybody. And
There's
Britt,
no
you were with him.
There's no doubt.
It's the
Britt
relatability.
Can connect with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right now, guys, I didn't want to cut you off, Joe.
No, the players are just going to run through a wall for Jeff Ulbrich.
Right.
He's a phenomenal motivator.
Right.
Baltimore Ravens on the clock, but first Draft Night
Malachi
Live.
Starks is perfect for the Ravens. A guy like that.
I do like that.
I would. Oh my God, perfect. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. Let's talk more about Starks after this. Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio is presented by Express Pros. Express employment professionals can provide contract workers to flex up for peak seasons without having to raise your core workforce. Headcount, manage your workforce differently. Visit expresspros.com today. That's expresspros.com. Jay, tell me more.
Yeah, I'm just looking for like a Ravens type of pick, and like that is so them, right? I would say that linebacker again that we talked about, who's banged up, Jihad, right?
Campbell.
That'd be a perfect type of guy for them also. But again, you have to sit there and go, man, I don't know, he start on PUP or something like that, along those lines. But I'm just looking like top, and I know I've talked to people in the Ravens too about it. Like, man, they just love. Again, I get the same thing. Love Malachi Starks. Love Walker.
Will Johnson is still out there.
There's a couple of guys. Will Johnson, people are afraid of because he wouldn't run, and because of the injuries, so they're afraid of that. But Malachi Starks was like, there was a team in the top 10 who said they considered it. And I'm sitting there going, man. And I know I talked to people in the Ravens this week, and we talked about it, brought up, and I'm just trying to put two and two together, and I'm like, this would be a great pick.
You just know what you're
them.
getting with Malachi. He's tough. He's smart. He's productive.
What I try and do now is I'm like, who do we talk about that's still there for these guys, besides getting texts from the rooms? But yeah,
I'll say this.
I would love that selection for them.
They make it a point to get interior guys on the defensive side of the ball. They make it a point to get edge guys on that defense. I would assume that they're going to go on the defensive side of the ball, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Who you thinking?
I think Malachi Starks.
Malachi Starks.
Put him and Hamilton together. Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh, right?
And he
I like
started
that.
all but one game in his 3 years for Georgia. I mean, like the
Right.
dependability alone says
He's been there the
something.
entire time. I'm just like, and I just remember he stood out from these names. Because when you're picking down there, you're like, do you think this guy, they'll ask you, do you think this guy can get to us? And I didn't know. And then there's a couple guys, do you think can get to? I'm like, yeah, these guys, and them like everybody else. We're gonna move out. We're gonna try and move out.
Georgia.
But he was one of the names. You
back
think he'll
out
be
there.
there? I'm like, yeah.
There's also a running back out there that would pair perfectly with Derrick Henry. Travion Henderson.
Yeah.
Explosive, dynamic weapon. I don't know if he came up. I don't know if he came up in your conversations, but
That is a
No, he
nice.
didn't.
That would be a nice
didn't.
combination. But they got a good combination going there right now. Who's the young? Is it Singletary? What's the? Not Singletary. What's the second?
Henry's
They
the
got
guy.
to switch
You don't
up.
need. I mean,
But they got to switch up
Justice
back.
Hill.
right.
Maybe it's Justice Hill. They have a pretty good switch up. I like this whole defensive deal. You put Malachi Starks back there, like you said, with Hamilton. That's two big hitters. You got two headhunters back there. So they've known for their safety play, for quite some time now. So that would be a good pick for them.
I just remember them talking about. Here's my problem too, gang. As you could see, I wrote down notes from every team. They give it, and I can't read my writing.
So you
when
can't
it comes
even
to
recall
today.
it back.
So I have
how
to
you
really
organize
recover,
all
right?
that.
Handwriting is
right?
unbelievable.
Right. Here's
The
Denver.
doctor.
here's
We
It's
gotta
like-
call him Dr. Glazer.
Yeah, right.
If it fell out of your bag, no one would know what to do
No, I
with it.
don't.
Jeez.
It might have all the
Hieroglyphics.
information.
I'm trying to look at it, and I'm like, man, what did I say here? Okay, this I could check it out. Right.
There it is.
Guys, the Ravens pick is in. You're onto something here.
With the 27th pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Malachi Starks, safety, Georgia, 6'1", 197 pounds.
Malachi Starks. you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
I think I liked that from you, Joe. You know what you're getting with Malachi, and that's a great choice for them. Great fit.
Productive you know what you're getting with all these Georgia defensive players. I think they're one
Fair.
of the few. They're one of the few teams that tackle in practice anymore. So you know you're getting a great tackler, you're getting a headhunter, you're getting someone that plays hard, that plays tough, that has instincts, and he can cover. He can zone and man cover. You can see he has ball skills. So
Instant captain type of guy.
yeah, exactly.
It's interesting because with Malachi, you get a guy that, you know, in a pass first league now, where that's how you have to state it. It's a pass first league. It's not a run the ball, establish the run first, then pass. It's passing. So more often than not, you're going to have to use personnel groupings that have less backers, less bigs, and more guys that can run. Having a guy like Malachi, you can keep him on the field. He can come up as a nickel. You can use him in multiple purposes, multiple places on the field. Just like we talked about the guys up front in the front eight, he can blend into the front eight and play in the run situations for this Baltimore Ravens team. Getting a safety like this gives you multi-dimensions because you can do the same exact thing with Hamilton. I got it. I think this is a very, very nice pickup. It creates a dynamic duo that you probably will get excited about seeing play on Sundays.
It's a secondary loaded with first-round picks. Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, the Clemson corner they took last year, and now Malachi. I mean, they're just loaded with talent.
You know, I find amazing too. We haven't heard a peep of a Howie Roseman trade.
Interesting.
Right?
You know he's been trying.
He's
He's
been
been
dealing.
you know he's been working.
Roseman be dealing.
Wheeling and dealing.
Do you guys want a little recap of everywhere
Sure,
we've
come
went?
on, let's do it.
Everywhere we've gone. Excuse me, my grandpa's rolling over in the grave for that grammar mistake. Look, it's been a busy night. Not happy about that one. Tennessee Titans made the decision to go with Cam Ward at quarterback. Of course, the big first trade of the night. We've now had many. Jacksonville Jaguars decide to select Travis Hunter from Colorado. The Giants go with Abdul Carter. And guys, feel free to jump in if there's one. I know Abdul Carter, LaVar was all over from Penn State. That was a big move. The Patriots make the decision to select Will Campbell. Mason Graham from Michigan at D-tackle goes to the Browns. Ashton Janty from Boise State, that running back to the Raiders. He was the 6th pick. Armand Membo to the Jets from Missouri. We had Teteroa McMillan from Arizona to the Panthers. Calvin Banks Jr. from Texas to the Saints. Tight end from Michigan, Colston Loveland to Chicago. San Francisco with Michael Williams from Georgia. Tyler Booker to Dallas from Alabama. Kenneth Grant from Michigan to Miami. Tyler Warren, Penn State, tight end, Colts. Jalen Walker to the Falcons. Walter Nolan, Cardinals. Shamir Stewart to the Bengals. Gray Zabel, NDSU to Seattle. Emeka Ibuka from Ohio State, that wide receiver, to the Bucks. And Denver going with Jahdae Barron from Texas. Derek Harmon from Oregon to the Steelers. The Chargers make the decision to go with Amarian Hampton. Green Bay, Matthew Golden from Texas. That wide receiver, Donovan Jackson from Ohio State to Minnesota. Boy, that's a long list. We've been at it for a while here.
Yeah. That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
It's crazy when you think of all the mock drafts that you read going into this and how different they all look from what we actually have. I mean, that's what's so fun about this experience, about the draft.
I think the best value pick in this draft is the Indianapolis Colts getting Tyler Warren where they
got him.
Yeah.
when everyone thought he was going to be a top.
Who else do we
6,
still
7
have on the
pick.
board? Like Connerly from Oregon, still on the
Connerly
board.
from Oregon's been talked
Who else
about.
is still on the board that we're like, man, why is a couple of running backs, both Ohio State? I don't know if you had them in the
those
first.
are the highest guys left for me. Mason Taylor
right?
from LSU.
Arroyo, by the way, tight end from Miami. He started moving up a little this week as well. Probably not, I don't know about the first, but just a name I started hearing a lot about. But who else?
Jihad
we
Campbell.
like,
We
right?
talked
Jihad
about.
Campbell.
Well, we still haven't
obviously
seen
Will
Shador.
Johnson. Right,
Shador,
right. Both safeties too, right? Evan Worry also from South Carolina.
I like
right?
Kevin Winston from Penn State as well, coming off
Okay.
the injury.
Love
I
him.
think
Yeah.
he's
I think
someone's going to get a
the
good
injury is
safety in him.
what's hurting him, though.
Yeah.
I would assume so.
I think it'll
But
push
yes,
him to the second, but you're going to get a heck of a safety.
Quality player, 100% a quality player.
Detroit coming up next on the clock. Any direction you think the Lions need to be going?
They're going to go defense. You know that.
And it's
They're gonna need,
edge. I feel like
I think they're going to take best
available
Yeah.
at this point.
That's honestly it's the only thing I knew about Detroit. Or they're going to go on that side of the ball.
So it could be the kid out of Alabama, Jihad. It could be him. They need a backer, but you would assume based on what they dealt with on the defensive end that they were going to get an edge, at least look to get an edge to. But yeah, the interior line, sure.
Well, guys, they ended up going with Tyleik Williams.
Mm-hmm. Pick is
D
in.
tackle.
Pick is in from Ohio State. There you go, Detroit going with defense.
Yeah, they need it. Obviously, they're so banged up last year. They needed help, right? They needed a lot of help on that side of the ball. They needed corner help. Linebackers probably were their most stout, but you saw it. As they got beat up more and more and more, they need as much depth that they can get over on that team.
Dominant point of attack player. Very strong hands. I don't think he's an outstanding pass rusher, but you know what you're getting in terms of run defense.
Yeah, I'm shocked. If they feel like that's the best on their big board right now, that's a little shocking to me. I would have thought that they would have tried to find somebody, I'd say more quality, maybe best available off the edge.
You know what, though? I don't second-guess them. Right, we've had a lot of times we've sat in here, the Detroit Lions were like, what? They could have moved down. They could have picked them up later, right? Whether it was Gibbs or the linebacker and Campbell. They have done a really good job over there drafting. When we've kind of all been on the outside of their joke.
They have
right?
done
They have
well,
a blueprint. They know
Right,
exactly.
Holmes
what
done a
they're
great
looking
job.
Yeah.
Well, Fox Sports Radio's Draft Night Live is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club, your place to get everything you need to stay smooth and smell great. Visit dollarshaveclub.com/draft and use promo code DRAFT for 20% off your order of $20 or more, plus free shipping. That's dollarshaveclub.com/draft. Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio. Don't go anywhere. What a night we have had. Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio. The pick is in for the Washington Commanders. Let's get to it.
With the 29th pick, the Washington Commanders select Josh Connerly Jr., offensive tackle, Oregon, 6'5", 311 pounds.
And so, guys, in talking to Dan Quinn this morning, he was one of those guys also like, I got no idea who was going to be there. All right. He didn't think Connerly was going to be there. I can tell you that. I had one team in the top 15. Connerly was their fallback if they didn't get the guy who they were going to go after. So he's a guy, and Joe, you could fill us more about Connerly, but I think the value pick there for where Washington is fantastic.
Excellent value pick. You got this quarterback. Let's protect him. Let's protect this asset. And so Connerly, I think he's a great fit in a zone run scheme.
Right. Really athletic.
Excellent lower body, quickness, bend, all that. I think he needs to work on his pass set lines. I think there's a lot of correctable things with his pass protections. And I think you saw him get better when he went down to the Senior Bowl. But this guy has a ton of upside, very athletic. And, again, it's a good investment to protect your investment.
Yeah, I like the pick as well. And listen, they needed help all year. Jaden Daniels was having to move around and flee a foot from the pocket. They had to move around to mask some of the deficiencies that they had up front. So I think this is possibly a really, really strong value pick for them. We'll have to see how it plays out. But he most certainly is in position to have to make an impact immediately on that front, that offensive front.
Like I said, there was a team, I'm not going to say who they are, but in the top 15, had their guy not been there, this is who they were going. So
he's good. I'll tell you what, that he really moved them. That my guy Cups of Legends say he moves the puppies. You know, he knows how to get out there. He knows how to get onto blocks. I'll defer, obviously, to
Joe,
you,
why not
to
hire
Joe? Yeah,
for a guy like this?
Well, I think it's because there's some questions about his pass protection. And look, Oregon wasn't really in drop back all that much. I think the most you saw them in drop back was in that last game against Ohio State when they got down so much. So he didn't do a lot. But again, you saw him at the Senior Bowl. He got better every week. He had a really rough rep against the Marshall defensive end where
he got blown up.
You question the anchor, right? But he improved. He's competitive. So I don't think anyone, like you said, would have been totally shocked had he gone in the top 15, top 20. So, I do think this is a good pick with a lot of upside.
And by the way, the Bills are up. Remember last year the Bills traded the pick to the Chiefs, and I'm like, why would you ever do that? Right, man,
and
that's who you're trying to.
Right?
They're trying to. I don't care who it is. If they call, you don't make it. Look, the Bills, they're going to have making this selection. It'll be in the defensive side of the ball. I know the Chiefs, as I said before, they were trying to trade up. They were trying to trade up for a defensive back as well. Early on that went earlier, and then again the Bills aren't going to make the same mistake here with the Chiefs. But the Chiefs, their guy's already gone.
So are they going interior?
No, DB.
DB.
All right.
Thinking Will Johnson, Max Hairston.
No, the Kentucky guy was the one who flew up this week the most.
Max
I would
Hairston.
think.
Yeah.
I would think. I don't know.
Big upside.
I'm guessing on that one. To be honest with you.
Are you?
Because he's the one that. I am.
Are you?
He's the one that really flew up this week. So that was the next guy on my board.
What's the name? Say the name, Jay.
His name is.
Say the name.
I'll tell you his name.
Maxwell Hairston.
Hairston. Yep.
You, dude.
But that's
dude,
I knew they were looking. Yeah, that's.
I was thinking the same exact thing, Jay. I was really about to say Maxwell Hairston.
But you know why? I'll tell you
why.
I'll tell you why too. Because another team had just texted me saying you think you'll be there, and that's why.
Okay.
So it was like in the forefront of my brain.
Jay's phone has been off the hook all night. The pick is in for the Bills.
With the 30th pick, the Buffalo Bills select Maxwell Hairston, cornerback, Kentucky, 5'11", 183 pounds.
It must be a very good feeling, huh? You went to the draft. There's only 3 picks left. So I'm happy
that's confident.
I'm happy he got called.
I do like that.
You know,
that's a great point.
There you go.
It's looking sharp.
That's a win for Maxwell. And it's a win for Buffalo.
So, at first, it was so funny because 2 weeks ago when I started really, really diamond on the guys like this. And that's when I do it. I don't do it. I mean, you do it here and there, but I wait for everybody to kind of start setting their board. Yeah, I wait for guys to start setting their boards, which they don't do till late, right? And Joe could tell you this. At first, guys are like, man, we love this guy, but he's 175 pounds. By Monday, he was 183 to everybody, and he flew up boards. I'm like, I thought he was so slight. A week ago, he was so slight. Now, all of a sudden, he's not. Love his speed, love everything about him. He flew up like crazy just this past week. But it's funny how that happened. I think he was 173, he was 176, and all of a sudden, he's mid-80s. He's not that slight.
Mid-80s. Okay.
But it changed in a week of how big he was to people.
But it's not, for me, this is just how I come from a time where, you had smaller guys that played. Samari Roll was slight in size, but could play some really, really fine football on the edge. I think it's all about the movement. And you see, we're looking at the highlights. You guys are on the radio. You might not be looking at it. But when you look at his movement, he's got good range. He does have really good movement. They're showing him. That's one thing that you like to see out of your secondary guys as well, is them being able to come up and be able to make plays closer to the ball, tackling. That's just a lot of the tangibles that
Real
they're
quick,
looking
we have
for.
a Howie Roseman trade. Howie Roseman is trading up with the Chiefs. They're going one spot. And you know who they're going to end up taking?
Who are they going to take?
The opposite. Look, they always used to take kind of, well, we can get some problem childs in there because of Big Dom. They're going the other way. The guy we said would be the best player in this draft, one of them if he wasn't so banged up. We said it earlier, Jihad Campbell. That's who they're going up for. So they trade up one pick there with the Chiefs. But again, now it's kind of the Chiefs going, man, why are we doing anything with them? They're the ones who knocked us off in the Super Bowl.
I was just thinking
right?
that.
Same exact thing. Yeah. Like, don't do business with King Kong.
Yeah.
That's it.
It feels too
Don't
close.
do business with King Kong. They just flop picks.
If they do take Jihad, which
and by the way, they're going to go offensive line, the Chiefs, if they stay. But they are taking calls right now about actually moving out of that pick.
Getting out of the first
round.
But
they're talking offensive tackle here. If they stay.
So the Eagles trade that number 32 pick and number
Jihad
164.
Campbell with that pick. The opposite of what, again, it's like, you know what? Let's give Big Dom a break here and let's go into a great guy. And this guy, had he not been banged up, and it's also somebody, they're deep on defense. They could sit and wait for him to heal. Yeah. Right? They can invest. I love that for them.
Yeah, I thought they hit a home run when they signed the Saints linebacker, and I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he had an unbelievable season for them this year. So I think that's going to be a good pick. But a little bit more on Max Harrison, because I agree with you, LaVar. Like 107, he's wiry. But I didn't think he played weak. I thought he played physical at the line of scrimmage and press. I thought he would strike you as a tackler. I think he needs to clean up a lot of his tackling technique. I think there's some angles that are bad. But when you watch that Texas game early in the year and you see him, the recovery burst that he had against those fast Texas receivers, you're like, wow. And then he has a pick six against Toledo, I believe, where it's like a combine drill, and he's shot out of a cannon. So this is another big upside pick. I think there's some things to clean up, but I think he's very worthy of this selection for the Bills.
By the way, kids, I was accurate also saying this draft will be first round over around 8:30.
You did say
and the Chiefs right now,
8:30.
they're taking calls about moving out of the spot. If they don't, they're going to get locked in likely an offensive lineman here, an offensive tackle. But yeah, it's
close, but no cigar.
Man, but
that's the only thing you might have been off on.
I said 8:30, and it's not. It won't be in a 8:4.
It will be 8:40.
Pretty close.
It will be 8:40.
Hey, but unless the trade is made. But man, Joe, back in the day, I've sat in the Saints draft for 1 year, and you want to talk about not being ADHD conducive. Oh, my God. There were 3 picks that day. It used to be all of them one day, right? But 3 picks that day, and then 4 through 7 the day after that. And also the first round, I think, was it 20 minutes a pick? 15, 20? I forget.
Oh, my God.
Right, forever, right? 20?
At least 15.
Yeah. Oh, my God. It was brutal. And then,
how is that mental focus for that long?
You just got to stay locked in. I mean, it was over 2 days, like Jay said, so you knew that first day was just going to be an absolute grind.
Oh, it's terrible.
And then you get to the second day, and it's just once the draft's over, your day's just begun because now you're rolling into undrafted free agency.
Yeah. When do you guys start calling them? What round?
You're calling them on Saturday. You're
But what
you're
round?
not
You
you're
start calling
not
them the
you're,
fifth?
you're not making the deal with these guys, but you're recruiting them starting on Monday for these undrafted free agents.
You a Celsius guy? Are you all gone off of Celsius?
No, I'm
is
just
it do
coffee.
you get IVs of coffee?
Yeah, coffee.
Do you when you
I
IV
used
the
to do
coffee?
that Red
is
Bull,
it,
but I don't like that Red Bull.
is it-
The heart rate just it makes me feel funny.
you like cool coffee going into the vein or hot coffee?
wait,
going
wait,
I'm a hot coffee.
Yours was
I
hot
remember-
earlier.
I'm a hot
Yeah, so
you're a
I
hot
remember
guy.
also being in there. I'll never forget. Bruce Allen had called at some point, and to the Saints trying to trade up. They're like,
Sober Bruce
"Who are you
Allen.
trying to trade up for? You're looking like you're trying to trade up." And Bruce is like, "No, I'm actually just bored, man. I'm just like, who would do that with you? Or would guys do that with you?"
Yeah, so when John Dorsey was the general manager for the Browns,
Right.
you'd always get that call, whether it's a trade deadline or you're on the pick. Like as soon as the clock would go 4:01 on the trade deadline, hey, I'll give you three first round picks for that player you're talking about.
Immediately.
And you're just like, Shah. and then you're on the clock. You're getting ready to go on the clock, and John would call you up. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you
doing?
Thinking?
We're working, John. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Do you have any other crazy stories about the experience that jump out that you can share with the world?
Oh, I just like you're talking about when Jay's talking about all these teams that are trying to trade up, try and trade back. I go back to that 2022 draft, like I mentioned before, and we had 2 picks in the top 10, and then we get to the point where it's we're pick 14 and we still have a top 10 player, and you're just smiling and dialing. You're just getting on the phone looking for anyone to make a trade with you, and so. That was like I felt like that was an hour and a half worth of phone calls, so that wore you out. But
By the way, 8:37. Chiefs just made the pick.
You're off.
Chiefs
It's
just
going
made
to
the pick.
be 8:40.
No, Chiefs made. They've already made it. I'm
already
just,
made it?
or at least they just texted me that they're taking. I just got a call that they're going to. I told you, offensive tackle. So
It's going to be
they'll end up-
8:40.
You know what?
You're
this pick,
off.
I'm not going to say it'll let the last thing take a putt.
You had it at 8:37 though, so there you go.
I got 8:37.
All right. Okay.
the draft's officially over.
Yeah, they're going to end up going
8:37.
offensive lineman. They weren't able to make the trade, so they're going to end up going offensive lineman. It'll
Over under. Do they show Shador Sanders before they go off of the
a million
telecast?
remember, guys. I did come in here today, and I didn't see
There you
anybody
go,
take him in the first round.
Jihad.
I didn't see anybody taking Shador in the first round. You don't want to say it because you don't know for sure. Like, hey, you know what? We didn't think he would be over here at 28. We're going to go up and get him. So I didn't want to
You're right.
say it definitively because I don't. All it takes is one team.
Yep.
said
But
he
I
wasn't
said
on
it.
the
I told
ticker.
it to you today. I told you guys. I just didn't see it coming in.
Have we ever heard of a guy being rated or projected where they say he's a number 3? Like people were had him
Brady
at 3.
Quinn, Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. It was him and Alex Smith.
Quinn,
Do you know what? I'll
Brady
tell you this.
didn't go in the second
I remember
round, though,
telling
did he?
Aaron Rodgers' agent the day before, hey, listen, I just want you to like temper what you say to him because I don't have him inside like 20. I have
But it
the
was still
Chiefs.
the
Wait,
first
let me finish.
round.
I said I have the Chiefs and possibly Chiefs at 15 and the Packers at, what was it, 20, what was Aaron? 22, 22, whatever it was.
24.
Yeah.
I said that, 24. I said that's the only ones. And this dude literally says to Aaron, hey, this is the guy who says you're not going to go. I'm like, hey, man, I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to help you out so you don't look like an idiot in front of your client. And that's exactly what happened. And you got to be careful because guys get upset, they get mad, and then you get blamed for it. And crazier things have happened.
Well,
Yeah,
have
we
you
see
seen
it.
it fall out of the first round?
It's up to 24.
24.
Right? 24. And
You're right, Joe.
I didn't have him anywhere except the only teams we talked about were the Chiefs and the Packers. I just remember this guy kind of throwing me under the bus with them. I'm like, I'm trying to help you, and that's what you get. And I never talked to that guy again.
Oh, boy. I don't want to ever be on that side of Jay. Let's get to the pick for
He said, yeah.
the Eagles.
With the 31st pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jihad Campbell, linebacker, Alabama, 6'3", 235 pounds.
It's about
Just
ninth
something
rated
about
player.
that 11, man.
Yeah. I
It's
know how you
about
feel
ninth-rated
about it.
player.
So you got Abdul Carter, you got Jalen Walker, and now you got Jihad Campbell. All
11.
it's something about them sticks, man. It's just something special about it. You got to do
Man, I love
special
this move for
things
them.
when you wear them double sticks.
I
man.
thought about him for like a team like the Ravens, where I thought about him for a team
He
that
does
had
fit
this.
the
that
Ravens.
benefit
Yeah.
in situations like this all the time. The Ravens and the Eagles. This guy was
He
their
fits
best
the
pass
Eagles.
rusher too.
He fits
This
that
guy
Eagles.
is an
Yes.
animal.
Yeah.
They just got nastier, man. Oh my gosh,
Unreal.
a boast of riches.
Well, throughout the first round of the draft, you can stream us live in the iHeartRadio app by searching Fox Sports Radio. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as we have. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Just search Fox Sports Radio right now on YouTube, and be sure to hit the subscribe button. We will be back to wrap up the night because we still got one more pick for you, and then some final thoughts. Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio. Be right back. Draft Night Live on Fox Sports Radio is brought to you by ShipStation. Calm the chaos with the shipping software that delivers. Use code SPORTS for a free trial at ShipStation.com. That's ShipStation.com, code SPORTS.
Hey, before we go anywhere, I just want to say, I started in 2004, so it's my 21st draft, I think.
Wow.
Fox Sports Radio.
Wow.
21st.
Wow, man.
Jenny
Congrats,
Taft.
bro.
Thank you. I look fantastic, I know.
Yes, he does.
Keep the
Don't get
applause
carried
going.
away,
Keep the
Jay.
applause going. And I love this. This is like, man, like I said, my guys take care of me. I appreciate the trust I built up. But Jenny Taft, you crushed it tonight.
I appreciate
Absolutely
it.
crushed it.
Well, thank you. Well, you guys made it easy. Oh, I kind of like this applause. This is a radio thing. It's kind of fun.
LaVar, I always love going with you,
Come on,
dude.
man.
And Joe, I was just having a hard time looking at you because of the sexiness. That's
Dang.
really the thing, yeah.
Joe said this
you
was more
intimidated me
fun,
today.
right?
You intimidated me today.
No, Joe, how did you put it when we were in break? You said maybe not more fun than the draft, but different and exhilarating in a different way.
Yeah, just as fun, a lot less stress, but a lot of fun. And this was just being with you guys has been just I can't say enough good things. This has been fantastic.
We loved having you out.
Yeah, I
It
appreciate
was great,
it.
man. Right?
Appreciate you having me.
And
Really do.
also, when you go back in wherever you're going to go, I think you'll have more of an appreciation for what we do as well. Right? And you see even the
100%,
pressure and stress we go through for this one day, and it's obviously different. So the stress you have is completely different. But we work our butts off this also.
There's no
right?
doubt. I mean, look at that notepad right there
Both
with all
of
the
them.
hieroglyphics.
Both of them. Not only that, look at this.
These notes mean
My
nothing
wife
to
Rosie was jotting down stuff for me yesterday while we were driving in the car. This is what I need to do moving on because I could read everything she said.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Watch out,
Nice.
Rosie. She might have another
Yep.
gig. You know, LaVar, I've been wanting to ask you the whole night.
What you got?
Your favorite memory from the draft. Like, what do you remember? Is there a moment that sticks with you? Because it's just such a powerful moment. We see these players with their families and the experience. Like, what stands out to you?
Obviously, the easy answer is being with your family. I had a ton of family there, ton of coaches, childhood coaches, high school.
Do they stress you or is it good?
No, I thought it was really good.
Okay.
Everybody was really excited and really happy. I was tired. Like I said, I was tired because there was so much negotiating and posturing going on. They're like, you got to be signable or we're going to take you at 3. There's a lot going on. But I will say probably outside of that, the favorite moment was that was the first time I drove in like I believe it was a Rolls Royce. It was like a private car. Then it took us to a private jet. It's the first time I flew private. Then I got off. It's the first time I flew on a helicopter. They helicoptered us over, me and Chris Samuels, over Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, landed us in Landover. And the fan base, I got to say, the reception was unbelievable, the reception that we got. So that was definitely probably the biggest memorable moment. It was like an instant imprinting, like we imprinted on one another. The fans and myself, we imprinted it that day, and it was a pretty cool love affair.
Joe.
Till Dan messed it up, but that's a whole nother issue.
Joe, what's the coolest draft call you made to tell someone they got drafted?
Man, there's been a few of them, but any one of them where they're just freaking out, the family just going berserk in the background. That call to Sauce was special. The call to Garrett. I mean, just
Why was it Sauce? The call to Sauce Gardner special?
There's one in particular, Jermaine. I remember Jermaine because of the work that went into trading up to get him, but then also I'll never forget Jermaine Johnson. I'm talking about Jermaine Johnson. He walked out on the 30th visit. And he goes, "Trade up to get me." And
Really?
Nice.
He goes, "You won't be disappointed." Now he thought we were going to trade up from 3.
Gotta be confident.
Not from the second round.
All right.
But I just said, "Hey man, remember you said trade up to get you."
We kept it in context.
Yeah, we traded up to get you.
Right.
Buddy.
That's
Welcome
funny.
to the Jets.
Anybody make you tear up?
No, I mean you kind of get emotional when you hear them get emotional,
Right.
and just being able to even share their experience because you know how much time and effort they put into to hit this checkpoint, and it's just the beginning, but it's a major milestone.
And it sounds cliche, but it's really these dreams that the families have had, that the player has had, and it's dreams coming true. And it's so corny to say that out loud, but watching it every year, it never gets old because it's the start of something special. And, I hate to bring it up off that, but we didn't see Shedeur in the first round. Now we don't know where he's going to go. It's a unique place.
Right. And again, the team that needed a quarterback, one of them, the Giants, got one. Right. You're sitting there going, okay, who else needs? Obviously, it's Cleveland, the Saints, Steelers. I just, again, I doubted that he would go in the first round coming in today. But also, guys, I just want to go to this. Remember, we started our show with something we never thought we would. And Cleveland kept this under wraps. And the Jags somewhat kept it under wraps. You heard rumors of it, but we started today with our opening segment. The Jacksonville Jaguars in a blockbuster trade are moving up to take Travis Hunter from the Cleveland Browns. You're moving back for Mason Graham, which we didn't see that point either. And that is what you love about the draft. It's the greatest reality show on the planet when things like that happen. But kudos to both those guys because they kept it under wraps. And I was told they had the parameters worked out, I was told, weeks. They've had it worked out for weeks.
That's shocking to me in this day and age that it was held that close. Right? It really is.
No doubt.
I mean, just to think, would you have thought coming into the day Travis Hunter would be in Jacksonville?
Right, Jacksonville.
No.
Not at all.
Right.
No one had that on their mock draft.
No.
Well, maybe
not one of us.
But
no, not one of us.
That.
Not one of us, right?
Any other
and
highlights?
That's how we started today, which is
big names. Yeah.
Really, really wild. I think the other most shocking thing to me was Atlanta moving up. I knew what they thought about Pierce, but giving up a one eventually to move up to get him was, I think, a shock for me there. But it also goes to show these GMs you're convicted about and head coaches, you're convicted about somebody, you don't care what any of us think. You're going to go get them. Do what you want to do. I don't know. Anything else shocked you guys here?
Any misses as well, or anyone we'll see right away?
I don't know. There's no misses that jump out at me because they were all pretty safe picks. So
safe from LaVar.
Yeah,
great job there,
pretty
Janty.
safe.
That's gonna do it
Leading
for
our
us.
way.
Draft
Great
Night
job,
Live
Janty.
on Fox
Thanks, guys.
Sports Radio. I really appreciate it for Jay Glazer, LaVar Arrington, Joe Douglas. Behind the scenes, we had Shay, Elijah, Sager, Vito, Alex, our executive producer Justin. I really enjoyed this Fox Sports Radio. Thanks for listening. Draft Night Live. That's a wrap.